Okay.
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 Now
And we're recording. All right.
Okay. That's how I press Gato without pressing leave meeting.
Oh, now you figure it out. After all these episodes, after all these years.
Aye.
And now he figures it out. 3 years later.
Nah.
So Pat, you're not liking the walk-off pitch clock violation that happened today in spring training?
No, I'm just making reference to it. That's really more.
So you have to kind of explain that because I'm not quite following. I know that they brought the pitch clock up. So did somebody have a walk-off on the pitch up?
Somebody won because of the pitch clock.
No, actually, the game ended in a tie because it's spring training, and I guess they're not playing extra innings. But yeah, it was a
otherwise
tie game.
Regular season.
It was a tie game in the bottom of the ninth, and it's like I'm not going to go look up the rules to go over them now because that's something we can discuss closer to the actual season starting and everything. But it's like the hitter has to be like ready to go in the box after a certain amount of time, and the umpire ruled that he wasn't, and so because it wasn't, it was an automatic strike, and so it was strike 3, so he struck out rather than drawing a walk. Yep. I mean, like the game was going to end one way or the other. And again,
so I guess the batters have a time frame now.
Right. Obviously, it doesn't matter.
And they should.
Training, but yeah. So that's what happened. So they called strike 3. I mean, like I said, because it was bottom ninth, and it was a tie game. And I guess they're not playing extra innings in spring training, so that was the end of the game. So the game ended with a pitch clock violation. And obviously, then since it happened in only like the second day of spring training games, I think we can pretty safely say it's going to happen at some point during the regular season. So where a game will end on pitch clock violation, either on the batter or the pitcher. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I've seen some, like just like things that delay the game that I'm aware of when it comes to baseball is batters stepping out, calling for time because the pitcher's taking too long. So now you're delaying the pitch even longer, and pitcher's taking forever just to throw a pitch. It was interesting. I saw a clip the other day of like a little league game. And it was a higher level little league game, so it wasn't like little kids. It was, younger, older little youth. And I lie, it was a softball game. They stepped out of the batter's box after the pitcher was already set. Pitcher threw the ball, strike. And they were like, "What? You didn't call for time. You stepped out of the batter's box. Like it's still a legal pitch. Like even I know that, and I don't even play baseball." Like once the pitcher's set, you can't just step out unless you call time. And the referees, the umpires, got to say time. Then you're allowed to step out, and then the pitcher can't throw the pitch.
Yeah, I saw somebody say that like Derek Jeter would probably be suffering with this new rule because Jeter always had the tendency he'd get in the box and he'd start digging in. He'd always like hold his hand up like this to like the umpire.
Yeah, 1 foot out and 1 foot in.
Yeah, no, he had both feet in. It's like, but he was like literally like digging his feet into his preferred spot and everything. They're like, well, yeah, you won't get away with that now. And another funny thing, and this is really more just kind of how times have changed. Mike Hargrove, who more people nowadays probably remember as being a manager. He managed the Indians when they made the World Series back in the 90s, and then he later managed the Orioles and the Mariners. When he was a player, he had the nickname the human rain delay. Because
that's right, he did. I've heard about that.
Because he would constantly step out of the box, readjust his gloves, stuff like that. And I've never seen video of it because it was back from the 70s and shit. But pretty much everybody who has said, yeah, he acquired that nickname then because he was the only one doing it. If he played now, nobody would have taken notice because it's so commonplace now. But it's just kind of funny how he got ascribed what is a fairly creative nickname for something that became commonplace, a generation later. So
yeah, and I think it's crazy. That's the one thing that drives me nuts about baseball is batters have such a routine, and I get it. Everybody has their own routine, guys that going to take a foul shot have a routine at the foul line, but it's baseball is so overdrawn, that it's oh, okay, You know, I got my bat. I'm ready. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, ball. Okay, step out of the batter's box. Undo my glove. Redo my glove. Undo this glove. Redo this glove. Adjust my crotch. You know, pull my pants up in the back. Bend over. Touch my
know.
toes. You know, smack my shoes. You know, it's like 40 different things, and then they're ready for the next pitch. It's like, dude, nothing happened. You didn't even move. Like, just
I never
stay
used to
there.
do that.
Can you
I
just
never
like
did any
just
of
stay
that.
in the batter's box and wait for the next pitch?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what why these rules have been set in place because I can't remember where I saw it now. It was probably on something in my Facebook feed, but somebody had like a list of like average game time over like the last, I don't remember if it was the last few years or if it was the last like sections of years, but basically like the average time of baseball game is now exceeding 3 hours. And it's one day and it was 2 games, but the 2 spring training games that were played yesterday both clocked in at about 2.5. So this shit will shave half an hour off of actual time needed to watch a full game. I'm all for it because
Yeah.
even for me, 3 hour baseball games are just a little bit like, okay, at some point this has got to move along, you know.
It's a
Now, of course,
marathon for no freaking reason.
now, of course, another reason why baseball games last longer that people don't really want to talk about, and when I say people, I mean the people who run the game, is of course commercial time.
Oh my God.
Course,
Yeah, there's so many commercials.
but of course, never in your life is that going to change. So,
And that's why football games are so long too. Football games don't need to be as long as they are, but because they're only 60 minutes, you know, if the clock never stopped for penalties and stuff like that, but the amount of commercials extended another hour and a half.
Well, they have to get. They have their specific commercial timeouts too, which drives me crazy.
and I think the worst and most notorious offender of that with excessive commercial time has always been college basketball games, where you get down to like the last 2 minutes of a college basketball game.
Every time there's a penalty or timeout.
Right. Anytime there's a whistle, whether it's a turnover, you know, an injury, an actual timeout call, they always go to a commercial for at least 30 seconds.
And a 30-second break for a commercial. Taco Bell gives you the shits. All right. Back to the game.
Buy a Chevy truck. Shop at Amazon. Yeah. So
always something stupid.
That's probably one of the reasons why I really haven't found myself watching a lot of college basketball over the last couple of years. It just, the game's gotten tiresome.
That's why you got to watch. If you're gonna watch it, you got to watch it on Hulu. Like, I know you don't get like the top tier like NCAA games, but that last like 2 to 3 minutes of the game where they're always throwing in commercials every time there's a timeout or a foul or everything like that, it doesn't happen on Hulu. They just keep it on the game and they have the commentators just talking, because Hulu runs the commercials, but only at the interval times, like when it's scheduled for, like when there's the scheduled TV commercials and stuff like that. That's when those commercials come on. All the other time that would normally be a commercial, they're just talking, and you hear them talking about the game and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, you still have that timeout. You still have that timeout because they are at commercial. So, you know, the teams are just doing their, you know, their huddle for, you know, the timeout huddle, but, you know, at least you're not watching a commercial.
Yeah, and I think another reason that might be is because probably in a lot of those instances, the commercials are kind of like locally controlled, like they're specific for like the local market. So if you're watching on Hulu, they could be running an ad for some, you know, regional grocery chain you ain't ever fucking heard of. So
stop it at your local Weis and get 10% off your grocery order today.
And
people in Texas are like, what the fuck is Weis?
Yeah, anybody outside of like Pennsylvania would probably say like that, because I mean, from my travels around this great land of ours, I mean, around here it's like we've got Shop Giant and ShopRite and Weis and Wegmans, and you know, and now you're starting to see the places like Aldi and Lidl and Whole Foods, though the nearest Whole Foods is still kind of far away from me. But, you know, out in Indiana, where, of course, I spent 2 years in Notre Dame, you know, Meijer's the big grocery store chain there. And vacation a lot of times in the South, and Joe probably knows this too, one of the big supermarket chains down there is Food Lion. You know, but it's like
Food Lion, a good old Food Lion.
Yeah, but it's like if you've never visited those parts of the world, you would not ever know what the fuck those places are. So, yeah, so it's like they probably don't want you, like if you're watching on a national streaming broadcast like that, to be seeing like commercials for, you know, come on down to, you know, Sioka Ford.
Oh yes.
So yeah,
We're seeing
Because-
commercials for a White Castle in a state that has no fucking White Castle.
Yeah.
White Castle, what the hell?
who
They'd be
was it on
disappointed in
Ted-
anybody's like, what the hell is this thing?
Who was it?
I need 14 of these.
I kept seeing commercials today. I don't even remember what the hell I had on. It might have been the hockey game, which was on ABC. And I kept seeing ads for Marco's Pizza, which I first heard of when I was out in Indiana a couple years ago for my
So
cousin's
down
wedding.
here.
And
Down
I
here.
was like, hey, this isn't too bad. I mean, it's obviously a chain pizza, but I mean, it's not too bad for chain pizza. But there's no Marco's Pizzas where I live. I don't know where the hell the nearest one is. So it's like, why am I seeing these commercials on a Philadelphia broadcast? I mean,
They have
They probably
really,
have one in Philly.
they have really good wings.
That they do.
Yeah. so it's
So,
just like,
Get
yeah. So
pizza,
it's like,
I get the wings.
yeah. So it's like whenever I see ads for places that aren't around here, it kind of annoys me. It's like whenever I see an ad for like, Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, because the
I know.
nearest one that I ever knew of either of those was out in York, which is about a 2-hour drive. So
You
That
can
is annoying
still,
too. When I moved
you
down
can
here, I'm like, oh,
still-
there's Harvey's here. Yes.
yeah, Hardee's I know is
you
much
can
more
still,
than
they still have it, I think, at the rest stop on the turnpike.
Do
What,
they
a Hardee's?
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was a Roy Rogers.
Oh, no, that's right. That is Roy
Yeah,
Rogers. You're right.
it is
That's Roy
Roy-
Rogers.
Yeah.
Same thing. Roy Rogers, Hardy's, just filmed by the same freaking company.
Not-
Or at least they were.
And it's like, so it's like you see commercials for like Jack in the Box, which
yeah, Jack in the Box is one I see sometimes. I'm like, I don't know where the fuck one of those is.
yeah,
That's like the Midwest and like the southern part of the Midwest and West Coast shit, I think.
yeah. I always thought they were big in the Pacific Northwest, but it's like I don't see Jack in the Box commercials as much as they did maybe say about 10 years ago. It seemed like they were on quite a lot, but now it's like I don't see them nearly as much. Which is like since there's no fucking Jack in the Box around here, that's fine with me.
I think it's funny,
Yeah,
like when we
it's
start
so weird.
going south, I think in Delaware they actually have like Hardee's and stuff like that. I think that's far enough south that they have Hardee's. I'm like, ooh, Hardee's.
There is.
And then every time I say it, because I get excited, because I'm like, yeah, it's just a different burger joint, but it's a different burger joint. Like it's not McDonald's, though. It's like
Yeah.
kind of like, woo, it's exciting. They're like,
love
what is
their
it?
Swiss
They're like,
mushroom
I'm like, it's a
burgers.
burger joint. It's like a McDonald's type. They're like, oh, who cares? I'm like, I care because it's not
It's
McDonald's and
made
it's not Burger
differently.
King.
Right. It's like
Made.
there's
There can be
differences-
variety, different options.
There's differences in fast food burger types. It's like when I was going on my lunch break the other day, I was like, I didn't bring anything in with me again because I'm lazy like that in the morning.
Yes,
like-
laziness.
So I'm
For
like,
the
what
win.
do I want to do? Do I want to go home, to the apartment and just eat something there, or do I want to go out? And I'm like, I don't feel like going to McDonald's. I don't feel like going to Burger King. I don't feel like going to Wendy's. Where else am I going to go?
Yep, that's your
Yeah.
3 fast food burger joints around here.
Pretty much. I mean, because there's no there is a White Castle in the area, but it's not within driving distance.
Did you
for
mention Dairy
a
Queen?
1-hour lunch break? I didn't mention Dairy Queen, but I've never been hugely enamored.
I don't
of
like their
burgers.
food.
Yeah.
It's not
And it was-
very
and it-
appetizing to me.
There was the last time I went there, I got like their chicken fingers box with like fries and Texas toast.
Mhm.
And I was really upset because what I ended up getting was pretty much buttered bread.
Nice. They
Like-
didn't toast it.
It was like if it was toasted, it was like the absolute minimal amount that you could legally call it toast.
So much butter in it, it turned to toast and it turned to what was
Right, it
toasted
was-
into
it
regular
was-
soggy bread.
yes, it was very buttery.
That's funny.
But so when I remember things like that happen, I'm just like, kind of makes me think of like the next time I'm like, where am I going to go? I'm like, oh, how about? And then I remember, oh yeah, but last time this happened.
Yeah, I like DQ for the chill part, not the grill part. For the chill part, I love a good blizzard.
Oh
But-
yeah, I'll go for a blizzard or a Sunday.
Oh yeah.
But every time I'm near one, it is never. I mean, some people will be like, "Dude, it's always time for a blizzard." I'm like, "Well, 10 o'clock in the morning is not a time for a blizzard for me. I'm sorry, that's not blizzard
No,
time
I-
for me."
I
don't
can
think
eat
I- I
ice
don't think I
cream of
can-
any sort at any time of day.
I don't think. Yeah,
Bring it
what?
on.
There's probably something, fundamentally in my head that tells me you're not allowed to eat ice cream before noon, asshole.
Nope. I don't
Now,
have
my
that
wife
food or
growing up-
drink,
Put
law.
that ice cream down. Ice cream is for night times.
Nope.
My
I don't
wife,
have that rule in my body.
growing up at her one grandmother's, her father's grandmother, father's mother. So,
Father's mother, grandmother of a second son.
yeah,
Gotcha. Go ahead.
Her Grammy Bonnie. It's the best way to put it. It was her dad's mom. If they slept over there, it was allowed ice cream for breakfast because ice cream is dairy. So that was the reasoning behind it.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, whatever, man. It was
Fucking phenomenal right there.
You got a great grandmother that would let you. I was like, one, I only had one grandmother, and two, I never slept at her house, and three, I don't think I probably ever would have, just because she was a cranky old lady. I don't think we were ever.
Yeah, that's the same kind of thing that my father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate used to do.
Aye. So as soon as
funny.
AJ gets back, I guess we should do. Do we want to talk about this wrestling thing that you sent us? This vote.
I
for
mean,
your favorite wrestler. Vote for your wrestler of the year. Because I know AJ is not going to be with us the entire time. I think he might be.
Sportskeeda Wrestling Awards.
Yeah, Sportskeeda. What the heck? I never even heard of Sports. There's too many damn things out there anymore. Trying to make a
Sportskeeda
name
is like
for
one of the
themselves.
other popular websites that does wrestling news and
Fucking
things
internet.
of that nature.
Fucking internet allowing so much shit to be there.
Yeah, that too.
I'm gonna piss some people off with some of my picks here.
Well, I mean, I
decided that
am.
the internet is largely a horrible thing that needs to be destroyed
Okay.
Jeez.
before.
Then you
it
would lose
destroys
Facebook there,
us.
buddy.
You all right there, big guy?
Hey,
Yeah, I was
Jim.
just going to the bathroom.
I kind of figured. All right, so we're gonna dive into the Sportskeeda Wrestling Awards. So we're gonna hit that up.
Yes.
So first up is Male Wrestler of the Year.
Dun dun dun.
So I am going to go.
Ocho. No, I'm kidding.
Shut up. Nobody's voting for the Ocho.
I still gotta.
Unless we're talking about ESPN the Ocho, and then I can watch dodgeball. You know.
I still got to give UPS the advantage in male wrestler. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I was thinking of something.
So I am going to go with, because I just, based on what he did this past year and what he provided to storylines, I am going Sami Zayn.
Ooh. I am not going to disagree with you, honestly. Technically speaking, he kind of took a storyline that was starting to go a little flatline and did the Sami Zayn thing and got the storyline going again. I'm not mad at you for picking that.
All right, what did you guys pick?
Roman.
Oh,
I gotta give it to Roman there too. Yeah.
I forgot to tell you. I forgot to tell everybody what the choices were. So there are choices for Male Wrestler of the Year. Oops.
Yeah.
That's not important.
Sorry, folks, we skipped a step there.
Yes, our choices for Male Wrestler of the Year were Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, Jon Moxley, CM Punk, and Chris Jericho.
And 4 of the people probably belong on here. 2 of them probably don't. And I'm making fun of the guy I like too. Brock should be on here.
No, he didn't wrestle enough to be
Brock and Punk shouldn't be on there.
No, right, exactly. And I'm not being a dick. I'm just that's the truth.
Nope.
Neither of them should be on here.
Neither of them do.
And if you pick Chris Jericho, you got some problems.
I'm picking Roman. So we have 3 Roman, 1 Sammy.
Okay, 3 Roman, 1 Sammy.
And-
All right.
Your argument's fair, Jeremy. It's hard to pick against the guy that had the belt the whole year. So
I know.
it's hard.
I know. I had to look past the belt and be like, well, what did he really do? Like, what made something relevant? Like,
I get you though. I get you.
so-
No, you're right. Like I said, I'll buy that. That was you made a good argument for it. So
Yeah, I would.
Hey, man, as long as I got your approval, it's all good.
Yeah, I would not call Sammy a bad pick, whereas I would call Jericho a bad pick.
All right, stop with your hate of Jericho. Okay, we know you hate Jericho. It's all
I
right.
don't know if you noticed this, but I really enjoy shitting on Jericho.
All right, so now we got
so you want to
female
sit on his
wrestler.
face. You want to teabag him. Okay.
Oh, geez.
I gotcha.
So we got
Maybe not
female
female.
wrestler of the year. We got
All right.
Rhea
Excellent.
Ripley, Jamie Hayter, Ronda Rousey, Mandy Rose, Jade Cargill. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh when I said that. And Bianca Belair.
I mean, this one is
It's kind of
It's
no
not
brainer.
it's not the person I want to pick, but she had the belt almost the whole year. It's really hard to just argue on this one too, as much as I don't like Bianca.
Yeah.
So AJ selecting Bianca. Okay.
Yes.
I first of all, I find it hilarious that they nominated two AEW wrestlers on this list, and one of them was not Britt Baker, because she's still the only AEW women's wrestler worth a shit, really. But for me,
Jamie Hayter's heading in the right direction, but she shouldn't be
Yes.
on here. She didn't do enough to be on here.
That's what I
Yes.
felt too. And Jade, of course, is wrestling the same four women every month.
Yes.
So
Jade is doing the Goldberg tour.
Yes.
yeah, she's wrestling Hugh
Unfortunately.
Morris, Jerry Flynn, Mang, and the Renegade all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying Renegade's one guy I know. Goldberg wrestled a few times during that streak. For me, it's a tough pick between Bianca and Rhea, but I gotta agree with AJ here. It's really tough to go against the person who held the belt all year and had good matches. So I gotta go with Bianca. I don't like the character, but I don't doubt her abilities, basically. So
I don't even know if Ronda should be on this list.
I
She didn't
don't.
wrestle enough.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I felt too.
It's like the person that made this list that you get to vote for just picked his favorite people that he likes. He's like, these are the people that I like, or she likes, or whoever, put this list together. It's like, this is the people that I like. So here's who you get to vote for. See, it's very hard for me to pick Bianca, and I really want to default to Rhea. But Rhea, the problem with picking Rhea for me is what Rhea has done only came after she joined the
Yeah, she's potentially somebody that a year from now could be winning this award.
right.
Because she's starting to excel.
I mean,
Right, when
I kind of expect her to. Yeah.
Yes.
But so I guess because I can't pick any of the other ones because that's just ridiculous. So my vote does go for Bianca too. What'd you pick, Joe? You didn't say anything yet.
He's sitting there with a look on his face like he just smelled something really bad.
Oh, I smelled something really
pick,
bad at the
I
basketball
really
game,
wanted
was
to
that?
pick Rhea, but for those specific reasons, I'm going with Bianca.
Ooh, unanimous.
Oh, so yes, unanimous. All right, and then we got match of the year. Now this is kind of hard because I haven't seen some of these matches.
There was tag team of the year.
Oh, match of the year comes up next when I'm
Oh,
scrolling. through it.
Okay.
Yeah, match of the year came up next for me.
Okay, that's fine. Tag team of the year came up next for me, but that's fine. We'll do
Okay.
match of the year and we'll go back.
All right, so the match of the year was Briscoes versus FTR 3. I guess this was the
Number
third time they fought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. I can tell you that's not going to be my pick. Reigns versus Lesnar, last man standing match.
That's
That was
SummerSlam.
from SummerSlam, right?
Yeah,
Track.
yeah, that's the tractor.
Yeah.
Rollins versus Rhodes, Hell in a Cell. Bryan versus Hangman, and Gunther versus Sheamus. Wasn't the Gunther versus Sheamus one? Didn't that just happen?
That was a
No, it
Clash of the
happened-
Castle.
Yeah.
Clash at the Castle. Okay. I was gonna say that was pretty late in the year.
It was.
I
I
only
feel like
had,
they're. Oof, God.
I only had 2 matches that are even on this list in my top 10. So I'm gonna take Cody and Rollins because that was the highest ranked match I had that's on this list.
Yeah, I don't see, and like I said, I didn't see the Briscoes versus FTR because that was a Ring of Honor match.
It's
So
good shit. It's good shit.
Yeah, I only saw the 3 WWE matches on this list, and I'm actually going to go with Gunther versus Sheamus, mostly because for me it was kind of the most unexpected. Like going into that, I wouldn't have thought that match was going to be as good as it was. So just because of the surprise factor and the crowd response also definitely helped too. But I'm going to go with that one because I also did just enjoy that match a little bit more than the Last Man Standing and the Hell in a Cell matches. And obviously, like I said, the other three I didn't see, so I can't pick them. So I mean, I'm sure the Briscoes FTR match at the very least was excellent. The other two I don't know because again, I'm not a huge Hangman Page fan, nor am I a big Thunder Rosa fan. So I don't know, but
The Thunder Rosa Britt Baker match shouldn't be on here. And I love Britt Baker, and I'll be the first to admit that match shouldn't be on here.
I mean,
Yeah.
I hate to go to this, but it almost feels like they said, well, we got to put one women's match on there as a nominee. So
Yeah, I like the Reigns and Lesnar, but I like that for more of the spectacle than it was like a real legitimate good match.
yeah, I know what you mean.
So I would definitely have to go Rollins, Rhodes, Hell in the Cell for me.
Briscoe FTR is my pick.
Okay.
That was the other one that was on my top 10. I don't know how Orange Cassidy and Ospreay is not on even a choice. So
Yeah. All right, and then we got Tag Team of the Year.
okay.
The
I mean,
Acclaimed.
I've got a thought on that, but it's kind of irrelevant. I'm just going to assume the person that made up the list of nominees doesn't like Orange Cassidy.
Either that or, like I said previously, they just picked the things that they liked and said, here, vote on these.
I mean, it could be as well.
So Tag Team of the Year, The Acclaimed, FTR, Damage Control, Toxic Attraction, RK Bro, and the Usos.
Before we even start, there's all kinds of issues just with who's on this list. So
Yeah, this does not feel like a strong list of nominees to me.
we got
No.
2 women's tag teams from WWE, and I'm not saying that I'm going to pick FTR, and I would pick FTR no matter who's on this list. But the Young Bucks should at least be on the list. I'm not saying they should be picked, but they should at least be on this list.
I'm assuming their suspension prevented them from being a nominee.
So
That's just
Yeah,
a gut feeling, of course.
CM Punk was on.
Yeah, well, I know, but yeah, okay, so yeah, point taken. Yeah.
So
And also Damage Control being on here, they were together for what?
3
4
months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's a little ridiculous. I would also
And Toxic Attraction, unless you watch NXT, you have no idea who they are. Like, you've got to watch NXT. And they weren't even that good in NXT, like in my
Well,
personal opinion.
They were
No,
kind
they're
of
on
a-
there too because they held the belts for so long.
Yeah.
That's probably why they just like the one thing that AEW holds over everybody to me right now is they have the best tag team division, and there's 2 tag teams from there on here, and then there's 4 from WWE. That's the problem.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, and their
I
tag
would-
teams are legit tag teams. Like, they're actually people that legitimately tag together. They're not RK Bro who was thrown together because they didn't know what to do with either of those guys.
I mean, it's like they
Yeah.
to RK Bros credit, they made it a team. But yeah, I mean, obviously the origin was, and I'll just throw in this joke. The picture of Toxic Attraction that they used here on this webpage, is their whole gimmick that they're supposed to look like they're always sneering at you because it's not
Yeah.
attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
they're the
I
bad
totally agree.
girls.
Yeah, I totally agree that AEW is better than the tag teams, and I would also go with FTR and
Me too.
The Acclaimed would be my second choice, basically too. So
Also would be mine. The Acclaim would be second.
So sorry guys, just give you a heads up real quick before you continue. We had
Yes.
somebody spamming our chat with some random created account from, I don't know, Dubai, one of those countries, Saudi Arabia, whatever.
Oh,
So
interesting.
Just trying to take care of that and get the comments removed as the moderator and report them and all that good fun jazz. I didn't even want to click on, translation, but it looks like they were just spamming like advertisements and some shit.
Fantastic.
I got that taken.
I didn't know. I didn't know we were that popular that we get spam
I know.
spam messages. We're
Like,
good. We're popular.
Maybe they didn't like Pat's comments about like the Blood Money pay-per-views or some shit.
They're like, we heard what you said about us.
We get that American boy.
I was gonna say, were they did they go back into the archives and listen to things that I said about the WWE Saudi relationship or something? I don't know.
Probably something triggered their little fancies over there. So,
This is this next category is kind of interesting.
Pat.
Baby face of the year.
yes.
We got Orange Cassidy, Bianca Belair, Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, Liv Morgan, and Brock Lesnar.
who wrestled as a face.
Well, when you say baby face, I just kind of think it's like more like a uber baby face, not like just wrestling as a normal face per se. I don't know. I just can't.
Well,
It's so hard for me to consider
would-
Brock a baby face.
take one of the. I'm gonna take one of the women in this. I think because Cody wasn't around the whole time.
No, he was barely in WWE, and he was off of TV for AEW for most of the year.
And I'll at least give you, Pat, that Orange Cassidy's an acquired taste. I'll at least give you that. He's not for everybody. He's an acquired taste. So I think,
I just also kind of find it interesting. He's the only AEW nominee on the year. It's
yeah, that is a little weird.
Yeah, because couldn't
We
Couldn't
could
we put
replace
Daniel
Brock and
Bryan
put
on
somebody
there?
else on there for
I was going to say, I
AEW.
think that kind of speaks to AEW's booking, where they seem to go for tweeners more so than pure one way or the other in a lot of instances.
And Drew McIntyre's a terrible baby face. I shouldn't say a terrible baby face. He's not a great baby face because it's hard to be that big and be a baby face.
I think
especially
Like, he's
especially in
very
especially
imposing kind of baby face.
right, especially in this day and age where the guys lining up against him don't look like Andre the Giant and King Kong Bundy and those type. What I'm saying, like when Hogan was the
Yeah,
biggest.
they had a
babyface
lot
on
of
the
big
planet.
guys. Yeah.
They still made him look like an underdog because they'd have these huge guys lined up against him, and with the exception of Gunther, that hasn't been the case for Drew. So
I'm gonna take Bianca just because Liv played a tweener at times. She's almost been a tweener a little bit because she's acting goofy and stuff. So Bianca's been a baby face the whole time she's been on the main roster so far.
Yeah.
I'm even though
I don't like my picks.
even with his brief period of time, I'm going to go with Cody because I feel like it was the shot in the arm that the company kind of needed at the time, and the crowd immediately went for it and backed him fully, which I was wondering if they were going to, the way his AEW run had kind of went towards the end and everything. Bianca would be my second choice for this, but I really think I'm going to go.
This isn't a it's not a great category and it's not great choices.
No.
It's really
And
not.
I too have to go Bianca because if you're talking about a true baby face, she's the only one that I could say was a true baby face. Orange Cassidy didn't talk, so you don't know if he was a baby face. You have to assume he was a baby face because they weren't booking him as a heel, but he never says anything, so I don't
No,
know.
he started talking now a little bit. Like he's actually started to say some stuff now. He's not silent anymore. So not a lot, but he talks now.
All right, Joe.
I-
Nobody really likes these. We don't like our picks, people. I'm telling you right now. We don't like the people that we get to choose from right now.
I'm gonna go with Pat. I'm going Cody on this one.
Okay.
That's fair. That's the two people. Maybe, like I said, if Liv would have been a face, maybe, but she was a tweener for a while.
All right. Now we got moment of the year. I like some of my choices, and I think I already know what I'm
This
going
is the
with.
easiest for me.
Yeah. So moment of the year, we got CM Punk winning title after 8 years. Saraya returns.
It's everybody. It's returns. It's CM Punk winning, and then everybody. It's returns.
Brock Lesnar's tractor.
Oh, and that.
Cody
That was
Rhodes'
cool. I'm not gonna
WrestleMania
lie.
Cody's WrestleMania debut. Stone Cold returns, and Bray Wyatt returns.
Yeah, the
Um,
naming it Cody's WrestleMania debut is really not the right. It should be return, but they probably got sick of using the word return.
No,
Yeah.
No, it says Cody Rhodes' WrestleMania return.
Oh, mine
Mine
says
says
debut.
Mine it says debut.
Oh, mine it says return.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Did you
So
give him
good.
the same link as he got?
I-
What the
I
hell's
gave
going
you all
on
the
here?
same fucking link.
I actually think this is a terrible category. So,
I kind of too, because Stone Cold's returned before, just because he wrestled a match. So what? Punk winning the title after 8 years. So what? Other people have done that before. Don't even get me
Saraya
started-
returns. Who
Don't even
cares?
get me started
Yeah.
on Saraya returning because it's
Yeah.
already horrible. Same thing with Bray's return. So to me, it's Cody at WrestleMania and Brock's Tractor. And Brock's Tractor was fun, but Cody coming back and everything and having that match and everything was
Yeah, the match that he had,
was for me
the
a
pop
part
that he
of the
got.
moment.
I'll go with
Yeah.
Cody. So,
Yeah, that's a Cody thing.
This was the easiest one for me. Cody was my pick. I wasn't. It was the Brock's Tractor was second, and everyone else was like a far
Terrible.
third.
Everyone
terrible.
else was tied for
terrible choices.
345th. Yeah.
All right. I don't know how far we are. I don't know how many
Oh.
more categories we got, but we got best promo skills.
I think it was
This
like
This one's easy. This is a 2-person race here at this.
So we
promo.
got Sami Zayn, Paul Heyman, Cody Rhodes, Becky Lynch, MJF, and CM Punk. There's really only 2 clear-cut choices of Paul Heyman and
That is
MJF
correct.
on this.
so. I disagree because
I mean,
had
Sami Zayn.
close
Sami Zayn is there too, but
because his promos and a lot of the stuff he did to bring that storyline back were pretty fucking gold and priceless
But
for the most part.
Heyman was also involved in that too. So
I know.
Yeah. I would say, I
And-
mean, like, these are all good picks, but yeah, there are 2 people that are head and shoulders above everybody else.
Sammy would be in the top 3 for sure.
Becky Lynch, I'm not sure why
Yeah, that one's
she's in there.
I once again almost think that maybe it's like, well, we need to nominate a woman. And Becky, I think, I know AJ disagrees with me, but I think Becky is pretty good on the mic, but I feel like she was a lot better when she was a heel. Once she turned face, it became a little less effective. But
And I still
that's also kind of the drudgery of having to be a babyface sometimes.
And I still think Britt is better than her on the mic, even if I don't agree.
So I am going to go as much as I love Paul Heyman and I enjoy his mic skills. I'm going MJF on this one because there wasn't anything that I saw from him as far as a promo that I could say was that was
Yeah,
only okay. Most of
he
his
doesn't-
stuff was pretty darn interesting. Like you wanted to watch the whole thing to see where it ended up.
I mean, I absolutely love MJF. I think he's the best wrestler on the mic right now, but I think Paul Heyman is the best personality on the mic right now
Okay.
by far. So, I mean, like if Heyman's going to be talking, it's going to be interesting. You're not going to be bored. You can't ignore what he's saying. So, yeah, for me, it's still Heyman.
Okay.
Still crazy after all these years.
AJ, you said MGF, right?
Yeah.
And Joe's going to be our wild card. I can see it. He's
I
going to
was
go
so torn
Punk.
on-
No.
I was so torn. No, God, no. I mean, he's like if you're talking true Mike skills, yeah. I mean, he'd probably be third on this list if you're just talking about that.
Right, he probably would be. That's one thing Punk is good at. I'm not ever going to take that away from him. He's good on the stick. So
I'm gonna go with Heyman.
Okay.
It's very little though, extremely very little.
2 Heymans, 2 MGFs.
he's been doing it for longer too. Like that's Heyman's been doing it for 25 years, and he's still doing it. Like he just had a killer promo with Cody 2 weeks ago. So like he's still doing it.
Yeah.
I must say, I enjoyed
This
that
one-
fact that he had his neck brace on.
Oh,
for
that was fabulous. That was fucking awesome.
But then he didn't have it on last night from the little bit of SmackDown that I saw.
Yeah.
So I thought that was
Yeah.
kind of fun. I
And
figured
that's
he'd
like
be
in
telling that, for at least SmackDown, yeah.
and, give MJF his credit. He's very good on the mic very quickly for how young he is and how long he's been wrestling. So super kudos to him for that. But like just you mentioned Heyman with the neck brace, selling it and doing a promo. That's kind of like the small edge that puts Heyman above MJF in regards to that.
All right. So then we got heel of the year.
This category is interesting for me.
Yeah, it is because you got 2 duos on here. Like that's
Yeah.
like like all right. So here are our choices, folks. We had Dominic and Rhea, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, MJF, Chris Jericho, and Sammy and Tay. I'm not
And
gonna go with Sammy and Tay.
Sammy
Sorry,
and
they don't
Tay's
get my.
heel is mostly because of the shit that happened with Sammy and his ex, and the shit that him and Tay do on TV and on social media and things of that nature.
I'm taking
But-
MJF on this one too. He's too good at what he does. He doesn't break character ever either.
That's why he's single again.
Yes, that's why I'm picking him, because you don't ever see the dude break character. Even when he's at events and stuff, he's still acting like a dick. Roman's a tweener. He hasn't always been a heel. Like, even like a lot of people cheer for him. So he's like a tweener to me. And Seth Rollins is a tweener too. So
Yeah, Seth Rollins isn't a true heel right now. I don't feel like he's been a true heel for a while.
I am going with MJF on this one.
And see, I want to go with Rhea because she's been such a good heel, but you threw Dominic in there.
I know.
Like, why did you throw Dom? Why couldn't you just say Rhea Ripley? Like,
we know who Pat's definitely not voting for, the Ocho.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say,
If he picks the Ocha, I'm like, damn, I could have bet a wager on that shit.
if I were to break down this ballot, Sammy and Tay and Jericho are the definition of go away heat with me. So definitely not picking them. Dominic and Rhea, the problem is that they're an effective duo, but you're kind of laughing at them half the time, especially
Yes.
anytime Dominic brings up prison. So
When you're in the clink,
yeah.
yeah,
Rollins
their promo with what the heck is his name? The commentator that's now not at the table. He's doing backstage interviews.
Saxton.
Yes, Saxton. When he tells Saxton, if you're gonna keep asking stupid questions, you're gonna find out what I did to people when I was. I'm like,
yeah.
and Saxton's got to play it off like, I feel bad for Saxton. He's got to play it off like, okay, he's a hardened criminal. Yeah. Huh.
He's supposed to believe that shit.
I'm going to take him seriously, even though I'm not supposed to take him seriously. Yeah, but so yeah, and like you said, Rollins has been too much of a tweener. I mean, he may have been a heel like throughout the Cody feud and everything, but again, he's practically, and now he's a face. I mean, I know we're supposed to just be basing on 2022, but so for me, it comes down between MJF and Roman, and it's like, I almost don't want to pick MJF because there was that time where the audience was really baby facing him. Not that he was being a baby face, but the way the audience was reacting to him. And that was, of course, the time where he walked out and did the work shoot promo and all that. But he's just too goddamn good at what he does to not be good. And Roman, you would think, really should be eviler.
Yes.
So because of that, I got to go with MJF.
Yeah. If they would have just said Rhea Ripley, I would have been okay with just Rhea Ripley. I would have voted Rhea Ripley, but I can't. Dominic makes it a comics fucking stint. So I got to go MJF on that.
I mean, Dominic and Rhea would have been a better nominee if it had been the whole Judgment Day too, just because of what they did to Edge and Beth Phoenix during the year and to Rey Mysterio. So, but yeah, it's like when they kind of limited the Dominic and Rhea, it's almost like made it less effective. So.
Oh boy, this is an interesting category. Rookie of the year.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
boy.
This one is easy. This one is easy as it gets on here for me. This was probably the easiest category for me.
So
I understand that not everybody who came through AEW could be classified as a rookie, and that I guess you wanted to include somebody from AEW.
That's
Wrong
not the
person.
guy.
But
That's
him,
not the guy.
So
let me
such
read
the
off
wrong
the-
person.
let me read off
Okay.
the names.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So everybody else can laugh at this too. So we got
Sorry.
Nikita Lyons.
I like her.
You got Satnam Singh. I don't even know if I said his name right. I apologize if I didn't. I
just
tried to
call
get it
him
right.
Really, really big, tall guy. Or
I didn't even know he actually ever wrestled in a match. I thought he just came down and did nothing.
It's not right when he does.
Or call him Great Khali 2.0.
Yes.
Yes. Solo Sikoa, Roxanne Perez, Carmelo Hayes, and Logan Paul. Well, there's only
Okay,
one that I
so-
could definitely say in my book that it would get Rookie of the Year, and that would be Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, he's the best guy on here. Like he is the best thing on NXT. Like, no disrespect to Breaker, but pretty much everybody I know that does watch NXT says Hayes is the spotlight on that show.
So yeah, Singh and Paul don't belong on here. Sorry, I don't care how many matches. He's had like fucking what 2-3 matches. You're gonna put Logan
He's
Paul
not
on
even
there.
a
He's not a
permanent
regular.
wrestler. Yeah,
Joe's right.
He's
Joe's
a
right.
celebrity who's there from time to time. So no, I'm going with Carmelo Hayes. That's yeah. This is definitely an easy.
I
one
like
since I saw
Nikita
those pop
Lyons,
up.
but I haven't seen enough.
Same
of her.
here.
Hurt. She keeps getting hurt though.
Yeah.
That's like her problem already. Is she's been hurt twice already.
Yep. Yeah, that's what's been
And I like her too.
her
I like her
downfall.
too.
Yeah, so my problem, of course, is that I don't watch NXT, so I've seen next to nothing of Nikita Lyons, Roxanne Perez, and Carmelo Hayes. So because of that, I got to pick between the three people who I have seen more than once. I'm definitely not picking Kali 2.0. So I actually have to go. I actually have to go with Logan Paul just because what he did impressed me more. I mean, nothing against Solo Sikoa. It's just that they've basically turned him into a
Umaga.
less savage Umaga. And when I say
Yeah.
savage, I mean like the actual like gimmick of being a savage.
It's,
least-
so when I look at Solo Sikoa, this is what I picture. Taz temperament, like stands there like this. That's what Taz used to just stand there and brood at it, like
the
broody.
picture of him in this thing, he's got the fucking towel over his head and the wrist all taped up, and you think he is.
And
Taz.
now they've given him Umaga's finisher with the thumb of death. So they've taken two characters and said, this is who you're gonna be. You're gonna be Taz with Umaga's finisher. Okay, are you good with that? Okay.
At least when the Acclaimed made fun of Santim Singh, they referenced the Great Khali, so they at least saw it too. So
No, yeah.
So
They
all
did.
right. So now we go on to the one that I don't know how I'm gonna vote on this one because I only know.
this is me and Joe.
I know-
This is more like me and Joe's character.
Actually, I know a couple of. I actually know 4 out of the 5, so I guess I can vote. International Superstar of the Year, Kairi Sane, Will Ospreay. I'm gonna mess this guy's name up, but I'm gonna try it anyways. El Hijo del Vingo,
Vikingo.
Vikingo.
It's Viking with an O at the end.
Like,
Okay.
You're good.
Jay White and Rush, and I'm not
Roosh.
voting for Rush because
Roosh.
Roosh. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Roosh. I can't vote for that guy because I can't stand his gimmick. So sorry, he's not getting my
So
vote.
here's the thing with Roosh, and I understand he's on here, but like he's the one out of all of them who should really have like multiple promotions in the background and not just AEW, because his
Yeah.
time in AEW has been kind of limited per se.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
and his
Yeah,
appearances, so he should really have like a AAA, logo behind him because he's done
Right.
way more work last year in AAA and others than.
Showing
Is that who?
AEW
Is that what El Hio's got behind him? Is that AAA?
Yeah, it's
I
AAA.
believe so. Yes.
Yeah, showing
Okay.
showing AEW behind Roosh almost makes you think that he shouldn't even be in this category, because to me it's like in the way you got the other nominees there, you got 3 people from New Japan and 1 person from AAA, and yes, I know they have presences within the United States and everything, but it's like it should be a non-US promotion, and obviously those promotions are based in other countries, so it's like, yeah, you shouldn't be using AEW as like the background for somebody in this category.
But I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
with the one person I've seen at and I actually enjoyed, and that would be Will Ospreay.
I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
That would be
he's
Osprey,
I think
fine
he's-
too.
Osprey's. I think Osprey's the best wrestler in the world right now, so that's easy. Jay White's really good too, though. That like to me, it was the two of them.
And I'm gonna vote Jay White.
The two of them are.
and I will
like,
not be entering my email, so I can possibly get spammed with Xbox and you've won a WWE shop T-shirt.
Yeah, I get so many emails, and it's from like places that I've like purchased stuff from and everything. But I was like trying to like unsubscribe from a bunch of them when I was going through and deleting the other day. But now I'm still getting the emails from them, so it's like it's completely worthless to even try.
And I'm picking Jay White very slim over Will Ospreay. Just based off what they've done internationally for that whole year.
I'd be interested to see
Not-
what happens if the rumors of WWE wanting to sign Jay White prove fruitful, I guess. And
Yeah, I mean, there's several guys from New Japan that are technically free agents now or will be within the next month or two. So there's like 3 specific guys over in New Japan that WWE has been kind of rumored to be going after.
Yeah.
So it could be interesting. My problem is all 3 of them. It's the whole is the I'm afraid of what WWE will limit them in regards to what they do once they come to that promotion.
I
Right.
actually,
It's the same reason why most people never expect Omega or the Bucks, or I think you can even throw Ospreay into that category as ever signing with WWE. So
I actually told Joe when I was talking to him the other day that Jay White is a really good wrestler. He's decent on the mic, but he's a really good wrestler. So you would kind of want him to go where the wrestling is the focus, not somewhere where storylines and stuff are the focus. So he's going to fit better in AEW just because they're going to feature his wrestling ability probably more there. Even though their card, both of these rosters are bloated right now.
Yeah.
So many wrestlers on both freaking promotions. So many wrestlers. Yeah. They could cut their rosters in half and still have enough people to fill both shows that they run.
Oh God, yeah. You can fill multiple shows with the rosters that they have, technically speaking, you know.
But
it's obvious.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we should. I know it's early for us to do this, but
the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, we should do our Mount Rushmores of favorite actors. Favorite actors.
I don't know what you were going for with that voice, but stop.
Just a voice. I'm not going for any particular accent. Just going for a voice, my good man.
Just stop.
No, you stop.
James Bond shit right there.
It's halfway. It's almost a Sean Connery, but not quite Sean Connery.
Yeah,
Stop.
yeah.
You stop.
Desist.
My mother said I should never stop doing stuff that I want to do. All right, I should just keep doing it.
Oh shit! Great.
I love doing voices because Pat always got something to say about my voices, but we're not allowed to say anything about his voiceover.
That's because I do them well.
Yeah, okay. Keep telling yourself there. You just keep telling yourself.
Did he hear the conceit in this just come off the top of his little head there? Just, you know.
I'm getting dizzy. Stop moving around. It's like the Blair Witch Project all over again.
That movie, speaking of movies, that movie is just, when that first came out, I went and saw that and I was like, that was some fucking bad money I just spent watching that movie.
Yeah.
I was just like,
this was made with the homemade
being into certain things of that genre and whatnot. And I watched that movie, I was like, this is fucking horrible.
I love when they started making fun of it, like on Saturday Night Live and all, and Mad TV, I think was still around at that time. They were making fun of it, and they're just like,
yes,
it's snot dripping on the freaking camera.
Yes,
it's so scary.
So funny
because you never see anything in that movie except for the people that are holding the camera. You never see any evil thing or anything like that.
Nope.
That movie made me motion sickness. Have motion sickness. That's how much that camera moved around. It's terrible.
People scared of things that no one else can see. Great.
Yes. It's like that. What is that? Is it a Bird Box? That Sandra Bullock's in. I think it's that. Is that the name of the movie? Bird Box.
I'd
have to.
I know what you're talking about.
It's the one where you can't look at anything. You can't look at the stuff because you'll die if you die. You die if you look at the stuff. You had to walk around blindfolds on.
Yeah.
I want to say it was Bird Box. Or it was the sequel to Bird Box.
You know, come on. I mean, we just came out with a movie called Cocaine Bear that got an 8 point something rating from IGN and a 4 out of 5 from Screen Rant, I think it was. I'm like, okay. So we're getting great ratings.
The commercials for it make it look really make it look really funny because like the bear eats a brick of cocaine. And the funniest part about it is like on the commercial that I most recently saw says like true events. I'm like, what? Shut up.
Yeah, that's the other thing. True events.
It is.
Yeah.
Now look, whenever you see a movie saying that it's based on true events, it's obviously never going to be 100% accurate, first and foremost. Second of all,
But-
though, something like this is basically just taking the premise and just turning it up to a the nth degree, basically. So
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Because no offense, I don't care what animal ate. If it ate a brick of cocaine, it's not.
That's-
I'm gonna say
I mean,
this. I'm not a
big
medical
fucking
expert,
bear, man. You never know.
but I'm gonna say it probably would be
All the
fucking
shit they
dead.
eat.
A brick of cocaine, I think, would kill any living animal. Just gonna put that out there. I know I'm not a medical doctor, but just saying
Possibly.
that's a lot of fucking cocaine.
I mean, it depends. Was it pure cocaine or was it? Just you got to think about that too.
Could have been cut with
it's-
fettanol. Definitely would have killed that damn bear.
Could have been cut with fucking sugar for all we know. Too.
Sweet ass cocaine. No.
Let's do this, guys, because I'm gonna have to go.
All right, man. All right. So the Mount Rushmore of our favorite actors. AJ, go ahead. You hit us first with your first one.
Denzel Washington.
Denzel. Nice. I like that pick. That's a good one. I like that. All right. I'll go. And I'm gonna steal yours because he is one of my favorite actors too. I'm gonna go with Denzel. So Denzel would be on my Mount Rushmore. That's for sure.
Oh, I third that, guys.
Oh, you
Nice.
third that? Nice. Nice. We're going Denzel across the board. Not with Pat. Never mind. He
Not
ain't
with
picking
Well,
it.
we never know with that. Over here.
Gotta pick somebody from like the
Cynical
1940s that
critic.
nobody's heard of. I saw this movie in black and white. It was terrific. Sorry,
I think he's giving you the stink eye. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Good job, Pat. That's right. That's right.
Go ahead, Pat. Give us one.
It's like sit on that, rotate.
I decided I would divide this into two actors from classic Hollywood and two actors from more recent times. So
There we go.
first one from classic Hollywood, Humphrey Bogart. So
That was
Good call,
close enough to the 40s. It was pretty close.
yeah, he acted in the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Yeah, so
And he was in some of the greatest movies ever made.
All right,
I
Pat.
know, I'm
why
not saying he wasn't. I like Humphrey Bogart. I just never seen any of his movies.
don't-
Don't go there, Pat. Don't go there.
You like how I fucked him up on that one? He's like, what?
Leave it be,
You
Pat.
fucked me up.
Leave
You
it
just made
be.
me- you just made me wonder if you heard what you said.
All right.
All right, so we got three Denzels
Three
and a Humphrey.
Denzels. Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I'll go on my next one. This is gonna be maybe a weird one, but one of my favorite actors to watch is Adam Sandler.
Yeah. It's our
I'm
favorites.
I'm gonna second Jeremy on that one.
Ooh, all right, got a second Adam Sandler.
I'm going Tom Hanks on my second one.
Ooh, Tom Hanks, nice.
Adam Sandler got robbed of an Oscar nomination a couple years ago. So
Yes.
for Uncut Gems, which is an excellent movie. So I will just give my second classic actor here, and that is Henry Fonda.
Okay, Henry Fonda, nice.
Guy-
At least he's picking people that I actually know. Like I've actually heard of these people.
Yeah, and I mean, like Henry Fonda, the great thing about him was that he always played characters who were like, great, like, moral quality and, stuff like that. And then when he played a villain, he played one of the most, evil, vicious villains that was ever on screen. So, just show that he could play, multiple characters and everything. That's also why I also like Humphrey Bogart so much. So many actors from classic Hollywood would, after a while, just play their persona on screen. Bogart didn't do that. He actually took roles where he would play a villain or would play a morally bankrupt character or a crazy character. And a lot of guys would, like, you never see John Wayne do that, for example. So,
No.
Nope, John Wayne pretty much played the same character, just in different movies.
yeah, he played John
Pretty
Wayne.
much, yeah.
But that was not his real name. John Wayne played John Wayne.
All right, Joe, hit us with one.
Robert De Niro.
Oh, nice.
That's my
You
third.
You talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
You talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
You talking to me?
All right, and let's see. So, who do I want to see? Who's like movies that I can just sit down and watch?
Oh,
that I
skip
really
you.
enjoy?
Okay, AJ, go.
Yeah, go,
He's
yeah,
still
skip me. I'm
thinking.
thinking. I'm thinking.
Paul Walker, R.I.P. So
There you go. That's good. Good one.
I think I saw every movie he was ever in. So
Even
Same.
Meet the Beatles.
maybe not that one, but
I think that's what that one was called.
Mhm. I think so, yeah.
Are you still
Like
thinking,
that.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm still thinking.
Okay. So going to my two from current times, even though this guy's of course getting up there in age, Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And
Good choice,
yes,
good choice.
I am looking forward to watching 80-year-old Indiana Jones. I can't deny it. The trailers, at least so far, have gotten me intrigued for it because
Same here.
not the name, but the trailers.
the name sucks, and it does make me worried that there is going to be some kind of time travel element, which I've read blurbs about, which of course may make me have a completely different opinion then once the movie's out, if that ends up being true. But
I want to see it. So
yeah.
I am a big Harrison Ford fan, and yeah, he would definitely be on my Mount Rushmore. That's actually the name I was trying to think of. I'm like, who the hell played Han Solo? What the hell was his fucking name? How sad is that? But so yes, so I'll throw Harrison Ford on mine.
So Pat,
All right, Darth Pat, you go. You're the last on the last one. First on the last one. That's what I meant to say. First on the last one.
This was a little harder because some of these guys are like starting to get older. There's not really like any like one like young actor who I really really like so far. Like all the guys who I would say I really really like have kind of gone into middle age, and this might be a little bit surprising, but I got to say, anytime I see that he makes a new movie, I'm usually interested in it, and that's Leonardo DiCaprio. So.
Okay.
He's pretty choosy with what he does anymore, and he's obviously got that right. But yeah, it's like I always find him to be pretty interesting. And it's like, obviously we were to turn the clock back 25 years. It's like, the Titanic, stardom and everything. It's like, oh, he's just a teen heartthrob. Well, he grew out of that pretty fast. So
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
I definitely did.
yeah. And no offense, him and Gilbert Grape. What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Oh
Was
yeah.
a fantastic movie.
Yeah,
Yes,
he was
it was.
Oscar, and he was Oscar nominated for that as a teenager. So
That was a great movie.
Yes.
Um,
I actually do have. It's funny that Pat brought up a young actor or a younger actor, Michael B. Jordan. For me, I went between him and Dwayne because I am a huge Dwayne Johnson mark too, but because I do see most of Dwayne, but I really Michael B. Jordan ever since Friday Night Lights.
mm-hmm.
I like him a lot, so I don't see pretty much anything he's in now too.
Yeah,
He's established himself as a top tier actor.
I couldn't pick Dwayne ever since he got fired from the orange juice factory. He got canned. I'm sorry,
All right, so my last
my
one.
favorite scene from Jungle Cruise when he was doing all the horrible puns that they do on that ride. So
Oh,
make him
man.
stop. No one can make me stop.
So mine, even though I haven't seen like maybe one of her most recent films because the premise of it just makes absolutely no freaking sense. But somebody I was kind of mentioning in the film, in the movies that we were talking about, and that is Sandra Bullock. I really enjoy her movies. Like there's, like I haven't. Oh, I said the wrong fucking person. How terrible is that? I mean Julia Roberts.
Oh,
Terrible. I'm so terrible. I'm gonna go back to bed. I'm going to sleep. Good night.
I'll let you
I
slide
meant
with
to
that
say
because we were gonna do an actress one, but I'll let you slide.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
thought
say,
we were doing
I
actress
figured
one.
when we said actor, we were only going for males, but all right.
Well, I can change it to a male. I can go to a male
Yeah, do
because
that.
I did really mean to say Julia Roberts, but I can go with another male actor instead of actress. So,
Okay.
But now I got to think a little bit because now I got to.
So I'm gonna go with
Yeah,
mine.
you
while
go,
he's waiting.
and then I'm going to come back with an actual actor. I'm making this fun, and I'm making all kinds of problems for this.
You're making us
We have
work
so
for
much
this, man.
difficulties on this show at times. I'm going Keanu Reeves. That's my other one. My fourth one.
Whoa.
So I'm gonna go with an actor that is actually
And I took the blue
no
pill.
long- that isn't with us anymore, unfortunately. But there isn't a movie that I've seen of his that I didn't enjoy, and that was Patrick Swayze.
Yeah,
I loved a good
okay.
Patrick Swayze film.
Okay. I can
Dirty
do that.
Dancing, the best chick flick ever.
Because Lenny Briscoe's in it.
I've seen almost all of his movies, I believe. For the most part.
Yeah.
and
Roadhouse.
and
Roadhouse rules.
Yeah. You know what?
that's just
Yeah,
one you
Roadhouse
can
is
go
awesome.
back and watch, and it's so like some of the
Roadhouse-
things.
For the type of movie that it is, Roadhouse is fucking excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also because, of course, Sam Elliott's in it, and also because, of course, Terry Funk is in it.
And I swear to God, Sam
yes, he
Elliott
is.
has not aged since that movie. Like he is like not aged a fucking year.
You know why? It's because he eats beef. It's worse. So Jeremy, just out of curiosity, then, because you're talking about Julia Roberts and saying that her most recent thing confused you. What was that?
I don't know why I said that because I had Sandra Bullock on the mind because we had talked about Bird Box real quick. So I had Sandra Bullock on the mind, and I'm thinking Julia Roberts, but I do like Julia Roberts. Sandra Bullock's okay at times. I was more of a Julia Roberts fan, but she hasn't done a movie in forever. So it's been a long time since she's done. Like My Best Friend's Wedding was a good one. You know,
Well, yeah, Julia Roberts is at that age that's tough for most actresses because
yes.
you're too old, and this is an indictment of Hollywood. You're too old to play the young romantic leads because she's in her 50s now.
Didn't she just
You're
wasn't
not-
she just in a movie with
But you're not quite old enough to play the grandmother roles yet either.
she was in a movie with oh man, now Jeremy's rubbing off on me.
She was just in another one with George
With
Clooney.
Clooney. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Clooney. They played the parents of the parents trying to stop their daughter or whatever from getting married.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that movie with
Guys, I gotta go.
all right.
All right, man.
Take it
Okay,
easy.
feel be-
Take care of yourself.
Yeah, feel
Yeah.
better.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Who was in that movie? Was that another Sandra Bullock? No, I'm trying to think who the main actress was. It was the one with what the hell is his name from? He was Duke in GI Joe. Why the hell can't I think of his freaking name? He was in the
Tatum.
yes, Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum. Boy, I can't fucking say his name. This is a terrible night for me.
Yeah, you're starting to be like that one customer from from Clerks, you know, where they're talking about customers that bother them, and it's showing that customer's like, "Do you have that one with that guy who was in that thing that was out last year?" You started
You need to
down
hop in
there.
your car, drive to CVS, and get some of that memory medicine and
Yes, need some
vitamins.
ginseng.
Pop that shit up.
Yes, Channing
It's all
Tatum. He plays like the guy that tries to save her, and Brad Pitt's in the movie, but I can't think of the
Oh,
movie.
Brad Pitt cameos. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, that's Sandra Bullock. That was
that was
Lost
another
City.
Sandra Bullock. Okay,
That was the Lost City. Yeah, which
yeah.
it had an amusing enough premise, but it started to lose steam as it went on because it's like, yeah, she's like a cheesy romance novelist, and he's like the cover model, but he like takes it seriously as if he's like actually like the character that she's always writing about.
Yeah. It goes.
And then it's like but like she does have like some knowledge and some like archaeological shit, and she gets kidnapped by this character played by Danielle Radcliffe, who's like looking for this thing on the island and blah blah blah. So yeah, it's amusing enough, and yeah, Brad Pitt's role really does only end up being a cameo, you know, glorified cameo in a lot of ways. But yeah, it kind of lost its steam as it went on towards the end.
yeah. So I couldn't remember if that. I wasn't sure if that was saying. I just know it's a little bit more well-known actress, and like Sandra Bullock's up there in her age too. She's not, I don't think, quite as old as Julia Roberts, but not that Julia Roberts is old by any means. But you know,
Yeah, Julia Roberts is okay. This
They
is
still
gonna
look fabulous.
This is going to blow your fucking mind.
oh, she's probably like
Nope.
62.
Julia Roberts was born October 28th, 1967, which would make her 55.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sandra Bullock was born July 26th, 1964.
Wow, she's older. No shit.
3 years older than Julia Roberts.
Wow.
And it also
Still
means
looks
that
good
she'll
to
be
me.
and it also means that she'll be 60 next year.
There you go.
Crazy, right?
Which
I
again
mean, shit. Demi
doesn't
Moore
mean
is like,
anything. You know, age ain't nothing but a number.
yeah, I mean, Demi Moore is in that age range too, and she still looks good.
Yep.
She be looking
Well,
fabulous.
there's one definite obvious difference though between Demi Moore and the other two.
What's that?
Okay.
What? She very obviously had
Yes.
Yes, she did.
boob job, and that's obvious if you've seen her complete oeuvre of movies, because she did
Yes.
topless scenes in the 80s and then she did topless scenes in the 90s, and it was a very noticeable difference.
True. Very true. Facts. Factual. I
And
understand.
Demi Moore was born in 1962, so she is now 60 years old.
Yeah, she's in the 60s.
So
Yeah, their kids never made it as actors or actresses because they were all girls, weren't they? Yes. Some of them did some roles, but never made it big. Like they never were
For
anything.
Demi?
Demi
Demi Moore,
Moore's
you're talking
one
about?
daughter has been in a lot of stuff, but yeah, she's never been like a lead character or anything like that. You
Because
know,
wasn't
she-
it Willow Wilson? Wasn't it Willow or something like that? Or I can't remember their kids' names. They were
Well,
very odd.
Demi Moore's daughter,
me.
who I know who's been in a lot of stuff, was her name was Rumor Willis. Yeah, she's got kind of a interesting first name.
Yeah, rumor.
Yeah, Rumer. So, but yeah, she's like never been like any like a lead actress in anything, at least not that I really know of. So if she was a lead actress in anything, it was something like kind of small and indie. So, well, hey, maybe that's a good thing, because there's all that talk, of course, in Hollywood these days about nepo babies, as they call them. So,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. I haven't heard that.
It's basically it's a term that's being thrown around now to refer to anybody who's in Hollywood who really is an actor or actress. I guess may also apply to some like behind the scenes people, but I mean, I think they're mostly talking actors or actresses who have parents who are also in the industry. So,
Oh, okay.
not that this really applies to him, I think in any way, but like Michael Douglas could be considered an Nepo baby because his father, Kirk Douglas, was of course one of the biggest names of Hollywood. But
Eastwood
Michael
as well.
Douglas also started off in smaller stuff before he became really big. So it wasn't like he was instantly a star because of who his father was or anything like that.
Yes, the Sutherland, Kiefer Sutherland, his dad was.
Donald Sutherland's an actor. Yeah, so
And isn't Sutherland's daughter as well? Or am I thinking of the other guy?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I wonder if Kevin Bacon's daughter is an actress. I see her in a lot of commercials
It's
with
either
her dad right
Sutherland or
now.
Bacon. Is one of the. Oh no, God, what was it? There was a fuck. There was a show
Mhm.
that I was just watching with the wife, and the girl in there was either Bacon or Sutherland's daughter. That was a pretty popular show, and I can't remember the show, and I can't remember her name. It's one of the two. But yeah,
He instantly turned into me.
yeah.
It's that
Thanks for
show
rubbing
with that
off.
person in it,
Oh,
well, that show.
God damn it.
Rubbed right off. Gave you my terrible memory. My wife loves it. She okay, you're gonna go to the store and get those 3 things, right? Yep. Come back with 1. What did I forget? Ah, damn it. Every time I go to the grocery store, I gotta have a list. If I don't have a list, forget it. I'm forgetting 6 of the things that I was supposed to get and got extra stuff that we didn't need.
I'm gonna Google it right now. God damn it.
Well, just look up Kevin Bacon commercials. You'll probably be able to tell if it's her because he's in the commercials for those EVs or the Evo car.
I don't know if the girl that's in those commercials with him is his actual daughter, because I'm looking at his daughter's IMDb page now, and she's not like ringing my. she's not like triggering my memory as like the person that's in those commercials, which is interesting because she is an actress and she was just in that movie Smile, where she was kind of the
Ugh.
looks like she was the lead character. So
Let me look up. It
and
might be Kevin Bacon's daughter or something. I don't know.
that's what I'm looking at is Kevin Bacon's daughter.
Oh, because I'm looking at Sutherland's daughter, but she kind of doesn't look.
Yeah, it's Kevin Bacon in those commercials that I know that Jeremy's referring to.
No, it's the same person. She dyes her hair's lighter now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely the same person. Yeah. Is he still married to the same person, Kevin Bacon?
Kira Sedgwick. Yep, they've
Yeah,
been married
wow.
since. Yeah, they've been married since 1988. So they've been one of the few Hollywood marriages that's stood the test of time.
Wow, good for
I
them.
think they've still got a few years to go to catch Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, but
Sosie Bacon.
yeah, Sosie.
That's a different first name.
Yeah, and then though.
Well, no. It's one of these actors' daughters. Anywho,
Anywho, so
Anywho.
when I remember, I'll let you guys know.
All right.
But in the
since we
meantime,
talked,
I don't fucking remember.
since we talked about year-end wrestling awards, let's talk
Yes.
about year-end wrestling awards.
Oh,
Do we
Wanna
have
go
to?
over- Yeah, I want to go over the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards, which just came out the other day. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'll just give like the winners and ones where I think it was maybe kind of or like the voting was kind of So Wrestler of the Year was John Moxley beating out Roman Reigns, Will Ospreay, Okada, and I do not know how to pronounce this name. Is it Suri? It's spelled Syuri. I don't even know who that is. I'm assuming a Japanese wrestler.
so yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. But Moxley won, and all I can say about that is
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, I mean, I can see the argument for him, but I can see a lot of arguments against him as well.
yeah.
And I think people were basing that off of, when he had the belt and what he did and how he picked the company up after, the whole media scrum shit went down.
Yeah.
I guess he's getting, bonus points for that shit, which I get, you know what I mean? But overall work, I don't know. I don't.
I feel like if
see
you've
it.
seen one Moxley match, you've kind of seen them all. It's just a brawling match. It's all.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the thing about him too is, I listen to some other podcasts and another show, and Bully Ray, made a comment on Busted Open. I believe it was Busted. He made a comment on the show itself. I think he posted it on Twitter too. I have to double check. Don't quote me on that one. But he said that Moxley's matches, there's so much blood in there. There's no meaning behind it. There's no gist. He fights. He wrestles, and there's blood every single time. Like,
Yeah.
what's the meaning behind bleeding all the time?
Yeah, I remember
what's the story? What's grasping you? Like, okay, it's he's wrestling and he's bleeding again. Like, why? Why does that have to be every single match that there's? Like, what are you trying to prove with this? Are you trying to prove you're a hardcore wrestler or a tough guy wrestler? Or like, what are you trying to do here?
Yeah,
Right. You don't have to. Every match doesn't have to be a match where you get bloody.
Yeah.
Right. There was one match that I remember sometime in the last month or two. I don't remember exactly when it was, where he didn't bleed. I remember we got him on the podcast, and I was like, "Oh my god, look at that! Moxley didn't bleed in this match." So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, whoa.
So let's see here. Most outstanding wrestler. Now, I should also say this one. I'm going to say that that the guy who wins beat out such and such. There's no set ballot for these awards. You vote for who you want. So just kind of throw that out there. So
Gotcha.
most outstanding wrestler was won in a pretty significant margin by Will Ospreay. The next few on the list were Bryan Danielson, Okada, Speedball, Mike Bailey, whoever the fuck that is.
Speedball. That's
I know
doesn't
that.
sound.
I know who that guy is. Go ahead.
And Moxley was 5th. So okay. Tag team of the year was FTR by a fairly substantial margin, followed by the Briscoes, the Young Bucks, the Usos, and the Acclaimed. Oh my
I'll
God, there
agree
was a
with
WWE person.
that.
Best on interviews went to MJF, followed by John Moxley, CM Punk, Sami Zayn, and Eddie Kingston. I don't
Ooh.
disagree with MJF. This
Eddie
really-
Kingston and Moxley do not need to be on there. I don't understand that.
Right. This goes to show how Uncle Dave has brainwashed his audience into becoming complete AEW marks. Because there's
that's
no
a little bit
reason that
off.
they should be on there, and there should be at least one more WWE person on there.
Yes, I agree.
Promotion of the year: 1 AEW, 2 Stardom, 3 WWE, 4 New Japan, and 5 UFC. Don't really have much comments about that.
Yeah.
Best weekly TV show: 1 Dynamite, 2 SmackDown, 3 Rampage, which kind of funny. 4 New Japan Strong, and 5 Impact. Now, here's what's also interesting. They don't specifically say it on the Facebook page that posted these results, but for some of these, they have like 2 numbers listed. One of which I think is like a first place vote thing. Rampage finished 3rd, but didn't get any first place votes.
I don't understand how Rampage finished 3rd on that list. Legitimately,
When we
they've
get
had
to
some
another,
good shows, but
yeah,
Can I interject with something really funny?
no,
Good.
yes.
So
Only if it's
there's
really
a
funny.
there's a post Marvel vs. DC. It says Captain Planet Earth 69. Captain Planet will appear in Secret Wars. Is Don Cheadle as Captain America as Captain Planet?
Oh my God, that's something that's been floating around the internet for years. That whole thing with Don Cheadle's Captain Planet. Yeah, that's literally been on the internet for years, man. And I think that's because it was like a Funny or Die thing.
yeah.
That's
I may
just
be
awesome.
wrong on that.
They should so do that.
So anyway, when we get to another category here, Rampage being on the best weekly TV show list is going to be kind of funny. So,
Oh boy.
match of the year: Okada
boy.
versus Osprey from G1 Final,
Spectacular match.
followed by FTR versus the Briscoes 3,
Also
followed by
spectacular.
Okada versus Osprey from Wrestle Kingdom 16.
Very good too.
Followed by FTR Briscoes 1. And at number 5, Gunther versus Sheamus from Clash at the Castle. So I was actually surprised to see a WWE match even be able to crack the top 5, because that usually doesn't happen. The Hodge Award / non-heavyweight MVP. That's a reference to Danny Hodge.
Yeah, I know.
Won by El Hijo del Vikingo, followed by Darby Allin, El Desperado, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Ray Phoenix.
Okay.
Women's wrestling MVP was this
Oh,
woman,
Christ.
Suri. I don't know how to pronounce her name, unfortunately. The other 4 rather, I'm sorry, those were Bianca Belair, Jamie Hayter, Julia, and Kiari Sane.
Okay.
Feud of the year was a close 2-person or 2-feud race, but FTR versus the Briscoes narrowly edged out CM Punk versus MJF. And the other 3 then that made this list were Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, Tam Nakano versus Natsupoi. I'm guessing that's New Japan, obviously.
Yes.
And number 5, and this is fucking bullshit, the Elite versus the Death Triangle. Now, it only got 32 votes, but that was enough to qualify for number 5. And they were feuding for exactly how long during the year? Did most of that feud take place in 2023?
Well, I mean, some of it started last year, but the suspension kind of halted
Screwed up.
that.
Yeah,
You
but I feel
know,
like most of that feud, I feel like, was this year, not last year. So
Yeah, because the
repeat-
best
go-
of
go-
7.
Go through them again.
Number 1 was FTR versus the Briscoes.
I'm fine
Number
with
2
that.
Number 2 was CM Punk versus MJF.
That was another one. So that was a good one.
But it was
I
also
mean,
cut short.
Yeah, I mean that was a couple bit short because of the ankle injury that Punk was wrestling through that he shouldn't have been wrestling through. But
Yeah.
here's the other thing. That's another topic. But he shouldn't have been wrestling, and Tony should have stopped him. But fanboy Tony. Sorry, I'm gonna go with the fanboy in this one. Wanted Punk to go out there if Punk could. So that's when he
The
saw the botch fest started happening.
The
Okay,
Snowman?
next. Yeah.
The Snowman? Yeah. Now again,
Smokey
FTR
the
versus
Bandit.
Briscoes. FTR versus Briscoes got 362 votes. Punk MJF got 347. And then in third place was Cody Seth, which only got 34. So there's a huge drop off after the first 2.
I think Cody and Seth really deserved more. I would actually flip flop Cody and Seth and MJF and Punk on that one. I
And
think they
see-
deserve number 2 over Punk
So-
and MJF.
So here's my thing, and I'm not taking anything away from the Briscoes because I really didn't get to see them, so I can't say how good or bad they were. We know how good how good FTR is, and we know if they're in the ring with the
Yes.
right people, they're going to put on really good matches. But I'm going to say this, it might sound wrong, but I wonder if they're getting some sympathy votes because of what happened to one of the Briscoes this year.
Well, I mean,
mean-
that's very much entirely possible.
Yeah.
And it's also not unexpected.
Yeah. But their
I
feud
mean, if
was
you
good.
remember, yeah, I mean, just like if you remember a couple of years ago at the Academy Awards, this was the one that was held in 2021 for the year 2020. So it was the year where it wasn't in the regular theater because of all the COVID stuff was still in place. But they moved Best Actor to be the last category presented because they felt certain that Chadwick Boseman was going to win because he had passed away. So they announced Best Actor last instead of Best Picture. And they got the AS's burn for it because Chadwick Boseman didn't win.
Yeah.
And it was just like you could see like the air deflate out of the room, and then like they like went to the ending of the show so quickly. So it's like, yeah, I mean, sympathy votes do happen and are kind of expected, but they shouldn't really necessarily be indulged, I guess.
So, like I said, I didn't see that feud. I know how good one of the teams is. I've seen the Briscoes wrestle maybe twice on ROH. So, I don't have enough to say how good they were or were not, but I can imagine they probably did have a really good feud with FTR and put on good matches.
Yeah. So and then it was Tam Nakano versus Natsupoi, which got 33 votes, and then the Elite versus Death Triangle got 32 votes.
Yeah.
So
All right.
all
What we
right.
got next?
So most improved.
Mm.
This was won by the Acclaimed.
Okay, that makes sense.
Narrowly edging out Mina Shirakawa, who again I'm guessing is another New Japan female wrestler.
Yes.
Uh,
She has
then-
she's proved she has improved as well, but
Yes. The rest of the list then was Jamie Hayter, Wheeler Yuta, and Dominic Mysterio.
I'm
know
fine with
about
the
the
rest of the list. Dominic is the one I mean, I guess
So here's my thing with Dominic. So I'm gonna jump in here, Joe. I know you were trying to get your thought together.
go ahead.
His wrestling hasn't changed. The only
Not
thing
really,
that's
no.
changed is his ability to feed off of other people when there's a promo, because he's not been the main promo guy in anything that they've done. He has been the add-on promo person. Like he's added
Yeah.
his 2 cents. He hasn't done so to put him in there as most improved based on what? The fact that he's in something that allows him to speak once in a while and add something to the conversation. He's not really doing anything different than he's done.
Yeah, I mean, his wrestling is pretty much the same. Not much really has changed as far as I'm concerned. I mean, for the promo, I get what you're saying, but it's kind of on the flip side. If he didn't improve with the promo or his gimmick or going along or feeding off that, then he probably wouldn't be on this list. He'd be tanking and Mysterio would be kicked off that faction. They'd find somebody else. So he has made some improvements in that aspect. but yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I would maybe next year see how he does, and then see if he
Yeah, because
belongs
if he
on
can
that
put on some
list.
better
This
matches, because I'm
year
going to
was
be
a little
honest.
premature.
Yeah, I mean, because if he can put on some better matches and continue to improve and individualize his promos instead of just being part of the overall promo in that, then
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, then he was definitely improved. But just based off of his ability to feed off of others and buy into the gimmick that he's been given, it doesn't put him in the, that most improved category for me, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, Dominic, yeah, his character has improved in the sense that he kind of has one now. I mean, what I mean by that is before he was
This sounds funny.
He was just Rey Mysterio's son. That was really what it comes down to. But yeah, I would say I haven't noticed a discernible improvement in his in-ring work, which isn't to say his in-ring work is bad, just that I don't really see where it's gotten improved.
No,
Just like I can't say that I've seen any kind of real improvement from Wheeler Yuta, but that's just me. So, all right.
Yeah, stop being a hater on Yuta.
The Bryan Danielson Best Technical Wrestler Award went to Bryan Danielson.
The Bryan Danielson Award.
Yeah, he
went to
renamed
Bryan Danielson.
He renamed the award partially after Danielson a few years ago. There was another award he did that with too, a couple, I think. But Danielson won, followed by Zack Sabre Jr., Daniel Garcia, Surrey, and Josh Alexander. The Bruiser Brody Memorial / Best Brawler Award was a runaway win for Jon Moxley, which I'm actually fine with him winning this. But again, if the qualification to win the award is bleeds all the time, then fine.
Well, hold on.
How many times does he bleed in a year? Every match.
What was the name of this award again?
The Bruiser Brody Memorial / Best Brawler Award.
Okay, so if Gunther is not on this list, fuck this shit.
Okay, I will take that in mind. Now, here's another reason. I'm not
Seriously.
I'm not spoiling it. Here's the other irony that I find also with Moxley winning the Best Brawler Award. Something that Jim Cornette has always said, and I've always happened to agree with, is that Moxley can't throw a fucking punch to save his life. He can't throw
legit.
He can't throw a realistic looking punch. He's basically always hitting him with his forearms, which is fine. But it's like when you think brawler, you think guys are hitting with fists. So
yeah.
So anyway,
you're thinking about like Blackjack Mulligan and shit like that. People who
William Regal.
I don't care if I'm going back to the 80s on that one. That's like legitimate. Yeah. Like the brawlers back then.
Terry Funk.
Yeah, exactly.
when he started doing that. Yeah, Blackjack Mulligan
Buck
would be
Sandman, for Christ's sake, threw a better punch than Moxley does.
Yeah,
that's bad.
Shit, guys like Outlaw Ron Bass, just kind of personified. Ole Anderson in a lot of ways,
Oh, so, God, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I know he was technical; he would wear down body parts, but yeah. So, all right. So after Roddy Piper.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. All right. So after Moxley, Tomohiro Ishii, Minoru Suzuki, Eddie Kingston. And making the list at number 5 with 26 votes, Gunther.
Bro, fucking last on that list. That's horrendous.
Well, again, it's just that he finished 5th. It doesn't mean he's last. Again, it's not like a ballot of those 5 guys.
Eddie Kingston.
Again, this is Uncle Dave's audience, and Uncle Dave's audience does what Uncle Dave says, and Uncle Dave says AEW is the greatest, and New Japan is a close second. And WWE is last.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to disagree with them on the New Japan stuff, but seriously,
that match in the Tokyo Dome that was only worth 1 star is a 4-star match because it was in the Tokyo Dome. So
yeah, I know.
I mean, Eddie Kingston is looks like a brawler. But
yeah. I'm sorry, I would pick Eddie Kingston over Moxley, like legitimately. If you gave me an option. Of those two, I would pick him.
But I'm just surprised he got so many votes. Out of all the wrestlers that are out there, they're probably brawler-style wrestlers. For him to get enough votes to be in 4th place is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Best Flying Wrestler was won by El Hijo del Vikingo, followed by Rey Fenix, and everybody else was kind of distant after that. Dante Martin.
Who?
Commander, who I don't know who that is.
What was the last one you said?
Commander. It's spelled Komandr, and Will Ospreay was 5th. Most overrated.
Oh
Ooh.
boy.
This is
Ronda
gonna be interesting.
Rousey
Damn.
with 159 votes. Coming in at number 2 with 145 votes was Tyrus, who would get my vote on moral grounds because he's a complete piece of shit.
Yes, I can do with that one.
And I know that NWA doesn't matter for much, but the fact that he's their fucking champion is
Yes. Yes.
3
Not gonna
Roman
disagree with you.
Reigns, which 4 CM Punk, which like I can understand more somebody picking Punk for overrated than Roman Reigns, and number 5 Austin Theory, which I know there was like a lull for him at one point during the year, but I think he
Wow.
recovered well from that. So
Well, Austin
little
Theory does not
surprising.
belong on that list. That's Uncle
No.
Dave hating on,
Well, again, yeah,
WWE.
out of 5 people, there's 3 WWE people. So
And Punk, Punk's on there because Punk does not like Uncle Dave, and Uncle Dave does not like Punk. So, he's on there for that.
yeah,
Whatever.
yep. So most underrated, number 1 was Takeshita, or because of the way his name is spelled and because Cornette likes to be Cornette, take a shitta.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's one of the times where I feel like he's going overboard because even it says
Yes.
he's like most of what he's seen from the guy, but because he's on AEW, it's like he always got to feel the need to make fun of everybody. So
Yeah,
that's the
and
time that even I start rolling.
that kid's good.
Yeah, but that's like the times that even I start rolling my eyes and going, "Oh, come on, Jim."
Yeah,
You don't have to make
he's
fun
stretching.
of everybody who appears on their fucking television, right?
I know.
Number two, Chad Gable, which I would agree with if it wasn't for the
Yes.
fact that the shoe shit has become so fucking annoying that he's got go away heat with me. 3
I get it.
Ricochet, 4 Mustafa Ali, and 5 Ricky Starks. I don't really have a problem with 3 through 5 being on this list. Though I do think people need to really kind of get over Mustafa Ali ever being a thing at this point. He's just always going to be a
Correct.
jobber as long as he's in WWE.
Yes. Unfortunately.
And Ricochet's kind of been not jobber, but like he gets put in matches for his high flying, not because they really care to put him in a legitimate storyline. They just want to.
Him and Braun, like them as putting in the tag team worked, but
Yeah, I feel
that's
like
going
this
to only
tag team
go
with
so
him and-
far too.
I feel like this tag team with him and Braun is working. The problem is you've got one team holding both belts, and we know that team's not going to lose until WrestleMania. And
It's not going to be to
so
them.
it's like it doesn't really matter if you're a tag team in the WWE who's not named the Usos as of right now. Because really no other team matters, and that includes the Street Profits and everybody else. So, all right. So Rookie of the Year was won by Braun Breaker, and the rest of the list after him was Hook, Logan Paul, Takuma Iroha, and Solo Sikoa.
Once again, I'm sorry, Hook. I like Hook. I know. If he's on that list, he should be towards 4 or 5. Logan Paul, come on, 2-3 matches. That's there should be a match limit on that shit. Come on, that's a little bit ridiculous. Sikoa, I get Sikoa because he did good stuff, and for me, my opinion, he did well in NXT, and he benefited from being
Yeah,
in a storyline with his brothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So the next 2 categories are going to reveal how these awards are always slanted against WWE these days.
Oh, boy.
Best non-wrestler. Paul Heyman won with 384 votes. In second place was William Regal with 255. Third was Don Callis with 80. 4 was Stokely Hathaway with 72, and 5 was Rick Ross with 33. The fact that
Rick Ross,
the fact
like
that
that
Heyman,
was on 6 shows.
yeah, the fact that Heyman did not win this category in a fucking landslide.
That's insane.
Right. Regal didn't do that much when you come right down to it.
For a whole year
and-
worth of body of work, no.
Yeah, and Don Callis is just annoying. So
I mean, I get Don Callis being on there, but like another thing,
if you're gonna vote for
You know,
Callis, you might as well vote for the other two fucknuts that hang around with those guys.
because I mean, at the end of the day, Callis wasn't there for the majority of the year too, because he's part of Omega. So Omega being injured for that extended period of time, and then just the suspension. That come on.
Yep. All right. So best television announcer,
Oh fuck! Here we go.
Kevin Kelly won the award with 332 votes. Now, I don't know if you remember Kevin Kelly, Jeremy. He used to work for WWE in the late 90s into the early 2000s. He was mostly a backstage interviewer, though he did some commentary. Now
I
he works
remember
for-
him barely, but I do remember
Yeah.
him.
I like
He-
Kevin Kelly,
He works for
New Japan.
New Japan now. And this is the third time he's won. He won in past years. He took the title back from the guy who won it the last 2 years and finished in second place this year with 308 votes, and that is a fucking Excalibur.
Really?
What?
I'm sorry.
Yes, he won the award the last 2 years, and he finished a close second this year.
Oh God. Listen, I
I've
don't
always said
hate
about
an Excalibur.
He's got a good voice for it, but he's just terrible at it. And again, he's a shill for the EVPs.
And I think the thing with Excalibur is they give him too much to do on the fucking show. Like, cut back on some of his
Well, there,
talking or the stuff he has to do, because I feel like with him, he's so rushed. Like, there's matches where he's good with Taz and stuff, and then like he's rushing through shit, and then they're giving him like, on next week's show, boom, 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 and like
yeah,
why
he
you-
messes that stuff up all the time. Like I always
And the-
hear him say the wrong wrestler or the wrong
Yes.
like I'm
And
like
And,
okay.
and the thing about that is that that's on Tony Khan and the production team. Like, you got to space that out, where if you're going to have your announce or promote next week's show, there's no reason to rush through that shit. Like, give him some time to promote it and then be on your way. Like, he's like speed talking through that shit. He fucks up more times than he does good with that. And there's other instances too. It just
Mhm.
yeah,
And
I
ju-
can't
and
believe
just
he
the-
actually won 2 years in a row. That's
And
legit concerning.
And again, so just the fact that he was a fucking nobody indie wrestler who still announces under his indie wrestling name and wears his indie wrestling mask, when again, nobody fucking knows or cares about his indie wrestling career. It's not like it's not like he's fucking Gorilla Monsoon or Bobby Heenan or anybody else who was a wrestler or a manager who then became a commentator. So
I mean, I
Anyway.
can care less that he wears his mask. I mean, it's something different. No one else does it in the US, but I mean, he's just got to work. He has work to do as an everyday show.
I honestly would say that, if Tony Khan wanted to do an interesting storyline, he'd do some kind of storyline where it involved Excalibur having to take his mask off. I don't know exactly how you would do it, but it would be interesting. So anyway,
Yeah.
so Kevin Kelly, 332 votes, Excalibur, 308, Ian Riccaboni, 71, Taz, 60, Pat McAfee, 47.
You only got 47? That's
Again,
a fucking tragedy right there. That's a train wreck.
What do you think I'm saying about, anti-WWE stuff with this shit? So, all right. Best major wrestling show. Number 1, AEW New Japan Forbidden Door, which won handily. 2, AEW Revolution. 3, WrestleMania 38 Night 1. 4, Stardom 5-star Grand Prix Finals. And 5, WWE Clash at the Castle. Kind of shocked that 2 WWE shows were able to crack the top 5.
That Stardom
Worst-
show was good. I saw that.
Worst major wrestling show.
Oh boy.
Number 1, Royal Rumble. And
Which one?
considering
I'm
2020.
just kidding. I know.
But, I mean, I think we all were reacting pretty negatively to that last year. So, yeah.
Yes.
2, Elimination Chamber. 3, GCW's The World, which was spelled WRLD. 4, JCP Ric Flair's Last Match. And 5, which is barely worth mentioning because it only got 3 votes, NWA is Hard Times. Of course, no AEW show would be on there. And to be fair, I don't think AEW has really put on a bad pay-per-view. So, all right,
Bad
now
match
this is-
in a pay-per-view, yes. Overall pay-per-view, no.
Right, that's what I mean. Yeah. So now this one, I was getting into a debate with one guy online. It was a civil debate though, and this is one of my
That's
most favorite. This is one of my most favorite categories that he does. Most disgusting promotional tactic.
Oh,
Ooh.
shit. This
Now,
be interesting.
Just for some background on that, some past winners of this award
Okay.
were various death or injury exploitations.
Oh, okay.
Pushing the guy who stabbed Bruiser Brody as a babyface, exploiting the Gulf War back in 1991.
Oh,
fake
WWE would have got that one.
Yes, they did. Fake Diesel and fake Razor. The Melanie Pillman interview, the Over the Edge
Oh.
pay-per-view continuing after Owen Hart's death. David Arquette winning the WCW championship.
Oh, that was a tragedy.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Not
Good job, Vince
editing
Russo.
out, not editing out the Muhammad Hassan angle the day of the London bombings. The Mickey
Send the
James
terrorists down. That was a good idea.
The Mickey James Piggy James storyline where they made fun of her weight.
Oh, I hate
Wow.
that shit.
The Stand Up for WWE campaign, which was coincidentally launched at the same time as Linda McMahon's Senate campaign.
Mhm.
The anti-bullying campaign, despite the way that they constantly bully Jim Ross.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And more recently, the relationship with Saudi Arabia, one in both 2018 and 2019, and firing people during a global pandemic while setting profit records, one in both 2020 and 2021. So yeah, most of all these have always been won by WWE, though some other organizations have won in the past. So this year, the winner was Vince McMahon appearing on television after the sexual misconduct allegations came out. Now,
Not
I was
surprised.
saying that was not a promotional tactic because what
No.
was being promoted other than him saying, haha, you can't catch me. And the guy who I was debating this with told me that they had been like billing it prior to the show and everything. I still don't know if that really counts, but at the same time, it is a pretty. So
Yes.
2 through 5 though were number 2, the WWE Saudi Arabia relationship. So it's still getting votes, even though it's already won a couple times. 3, Ric Flair's last match. Now both of those, of course, are promotional things. 4, Stephanie McMahon's goodbye to Vince McMahon. Now that, it wasn't like long or pronounced, and they didn't really promote it ahead of time that I recall. So I don't really know if that was could be considered a promotional tactic. And then number 5, which is definitely not a promotional tactic, and the guy I was debating with agreed with me. Number 5, AEW not punishing, fill in the blanks.
CM Punk.
Right, not punishing CM Punk after the Adam Page call out. Notice how AEW not punishing in terms of their EVP status, the EVPs after they jeopardize the company makes the list. Because there's nothing promotional about them not punishing Punk after the Adam Page shit.
Oh, they're talking about Page. They're talking about Punk's media
When
scrum
Punk-
outrage.
No, I don't think they're even talking about that. I think they're talking about when Punk said something about Page in the ring, when he like called him out or whatever. Which was like a week or two before the pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah. Because he was getting back because he was pissed off about what Page had said about him.
Right,
That
but again,
wasn't a part of the promo
Right.
pitch because Punk thought he was going out on his own.
you're right. And again, I don't see what's promotional about that. I mean, again, not punishing the Bucks and Omega. Okay, yeah, they were suspended. They were taken off TV. Bravo. But they didn't lose their EVP status when they could have, from a legal standpoint, very much jeopardized the company. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. So it's just, but again,
Yeah.
This is Uncle Dave's audience, and they're not going to vote something bad about the EVPs.
And yes, and once again, it's Punk, which him and Punk do not get along. So any
Mhm.
chance he gets to try to throw shade at Punk, he will do so.
Yeah. All right, I need to go back to something real quickly because I need to know the numbers. Oh, okay. Worst wrestling TV show. Raw, number 1. Number 2, NXT. Number 3, NWA Power. And I said it like that because there's 3 R's.
Yes, there are.
4, AEW Rampage. So it got votes for both best and worst. And 5,
That's hilarious.
yes, and 5, Women of Wrestling, which I don't know if that's I think that's an indie promotion for women. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh
is.
no, that's WoW. That's on Saturdays. That's the promotion they rejuvenized. Bus is a owner, and that's the one AJ Leah's producer and commentator on. That's the all women's promotion.
Oh, okay.
Right. But it's still an
And
indie
that should-
promotion.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Impact. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a true indie. It's more like
Hmm.
a women's version of Impact Wrestling. And the show
Okay.
is actually not that bad. I watch it multiple times on Saturdays.
All right,
But
now
nonetheless,
we have worst match of the year, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you
How many more categories we got? Jeez.
only a
This is
couple.
like-
Worst match of the year, and I got it for a couple of these. I don't remember what event they were at. So number 1 was Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee, which of course was at WrestleMania, and yeah, that was kind of painful to watch.
Yeah.
2 was Ric Flair and Andrade versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal for the whole last match thing. 3 was Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi. I don't remember when that match took place. 4 was the men's Royal Rumble match, which might have gotten my vote. And 5 was Matt Cardona versus Trevor Murdoch versus Tyrus. Obviously, that would have been at some NWA event. I have no idea what.
yeah, I didn't see that match, so I can't comment on that one. I didn't see I've heard mixed reviews about Flair's last match with that tag match. Flair did what he was able to do. The other guys did their things. So, I mean, I can't comment on that one either. I've heard a mixed bag of notes with that one.
Yeah. Worst feud of the year. The fairly substantial winner was The Miz versus Dexter Lumis.
Yeah, that was I didn't understand. That was just so weird.
It was weird. It was confusing. Yeah, and it never really
a
felt
lot
like
of times it made no sense.
It really didn't.
where it
Yeah,
was
it didn't
going.
really feel like it paid off. So
I don't feel like we've seen Dexter Loomis except for like maybe once or twice since that whole thing happened.
that's
Yeah,
pretty
pretty
much true.
Yes.
And you can't even find his way onto a 3-hour show most weeks. 2, Ronda Rousey versus Liv Morgan. 3,
Agreed.
and while the payoff for this was bullshit, I don't think this should be on here for a few reasons. Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight. I mean, I really think I think the build to it, everything was fine, and I feel like again most of that happened in 2023. So I don't know, really shouldn't be on there. 4, and oh my god, an AEW feud is on here: Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky, which I really don't even remember anything of.
Yeah, that one wasn't great either.
Yeah,
Really.
And 5, Braun Breaker versus Joe Gacy. My vote, of course, would have been CM Punk versus the Elite. Because it was bad in so many ways.
Yes.
Worst promotion of the year. Now, they don't give vote totals for this, which I would have been interested to see, but worst promotion of the year, the winner was WWE. 2, NWA. 3, CYN, which I have no idea what that is. 4, AAA, and 5, GCW. I guess I'm somewhat surprised that Impact couldn't even warrant getting into the top 5, because you almost just kind of expect that.
Impact is not a show that to be honest, for me, for as much as I watch it, that's not a show that deserves to be on the top 5 list. GCW I get.
Yeah.
CYN I don't know about that, so I can't speak on that.
Mm-hmm. Booker
AAA,
of the
I don't know.
Booker
Oh,
of
fuck
the
this.
year.
Booker of the Year bullshit.
Tony Khan.
Oh, come on.
Tony Khan, 372 votes. Number 2, Rossi Ogawa, 327. I do not know what promotion Rossi Ogawa books for. 3, Paul Levesque, 183 votes. 4, Guido, 60 votes. I'm pretty sure Guido's still New Japan. And 5, Sean Shelby and Nick Maynard, 36 votes. Again, I do not know what promotion they booked. Promoter of the
think-
year.
Igawa might do Stardom, I believe. I'm not sure. I have to look that up.
Well, you know what? I got Wikipedia open here. Let me just real quick. Rossi Ogawa, Japanese businessman.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Stardom.
Stardom. Okay. Thought that
He's
was
an older
nice.
guy too. Interesting. Promoter of the year: 1, Tony Khan; 2, Dana White; 3, Rossi Ogawa; 4, Paul Levesque; and 5, Nick Khan.
How do you get promoter and booker of the year?
Didn't really realize that Nick Khan was doing promoting per se as a co-CEO.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
But okay. Now I'll just say this. I have no problems with Tony Khan winning promoter of the year because I think he is a pretty good promoter.
Yes.
Winning booker of the year is another kettle of fish, as they say, and god damn it, does he not deserve to win that fucking award. But best gimmick, the runaway winner, Sami Zayn.
I'm fine with that.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, I'm impressed.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
332 votes. Number 2 was the Acclaimed at 110. Number 3 was Danhausen at 108.
Oh my god.
Danhausen, Danhausen's fine for me, except when
you.
except when he actually does something in a match where he's hexing somebody that they actually then sell.
Yes.
4,
I know.
4, the Bloodline / Roman Reigns, 106, and 5.
Just the look on his face doesn't.
Moving on, I'm not even going to say.
No, you got to tell us.
Well, with 60 votes, it was My Dog Pockets, as Cornette calls them.
I have to
Orange
find out who
Cassidy.
that is. Oh, Orange Cassidy.
What?
Okay.
Who won the award back? Who won the award back in 2020? If you need
You
to
know how
why
much
he
you love
call-
Orange Cassidy's gimmick.
I think you should know why he calls them My Dog Pockets too. So
Yes.
worst gimmick with 119 votes, the Maximum Male Models.
Yay!
Not gonna disagree.
And
Yay!
at number 2 with 112 votes, Uncle Howdy.
Yes!
Number,
Not gonna allow that
three
one either.
was, number 3 with 79 votes, Kip Sabian. Number 4 with 65 votes, Joe Gacy / The Schism. And number 5 with 46 votes, Bray Wyatt. And I don't really have a problem with this list, but there is definitely something that's missing from this list. But again, because they're in AEW and because he kisses Uncle Dave's ass these days, you will never see the Jagoff Society on that list.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it's see, the problem is that you can't say it's entirely a bad gimmick because there are good elements to it.
All I can say is that when I was watching their promo, I don't remember if it was this past Wednesday or the week before, I wanted to gouge my eyes out the way the one guy was just constantly going like,
Oh yeah, he gets super intense way too much.
and then
Yeah, he needs to cut back on that
when he's
shit.
not talking. If you're doing something on camera that is going to distract from the person who's actually yapping their fucking gums, you ain't doing it right.
Yeah, he's the one who chooses to come. He's like, yeah.
And then like, they all kind of like interrupted Jericho like in sync in tandem. And when it got to Jake Hager, he made some comment about his stupid motherfucking hat because that's all he is qualified to say because he is such a fucking waste of time.
Yes, he is.
So anyway,
So
Right. Best
How many-
wrestling book. Best wrestling book. They gave it to a book called Blood and Fire, which is about the Sheik, the original Sheik.
Who cares?
Number 2, There's Just One Problem, which was written by former Raw head writer Brian Gewirtz, which is probably a book I should check out. Number 3, a book called Dynamite and Davey, which should be fairly obvious who that's about.
Yeah.
Number 4, it only got 24 votes, but this is ridiculous. The Wrestling Observer Yearbook 95.
his own book. Asshole.
And
Fucking
number
stupid, what a
5,
prick.
the Muto years, which I'm assuming is about the Great Muta, but I could be wrong.
It probably is.
Best pro wrestling documentary, number 1 was Tales from the Territories, Lawler Kaufman, which I missed. I got to try to find that somewhere. 2, Dangerous Breed, Crime, Cons, Cats, Teddy Hart, which I got to finish watching.
Yeah, that's that piece of shit.
Yeah, 3, Tales from the Territories, Mid-South. 4, The 9 Lives of Vince McMahon. And 5, Tales from the Territories, Portland. I didn't see all the Tales from the Territories, but this kind of shows there weren't really a lot of great pro wrestling documentaries this year.
The
If you had to go with
Tales
3
of the
Territories,
Territories, I watch all of them. With that, they're really good. There's
I know
some
I'm sure
good shit
I'm
in
sure
there.
they're good, but it's like it just kind of shows there was no dark side of the
Oh.
ring this year. And again, everything
Yeah.
I heard about that 9 Lives of Vince McMahon was that it was mostly taken from old Dark Side episodes. So,
Yeah, it's a waste of time.
yeah. All right. I'm not going to bother with these regional MVP ones that he has. U.S. Canada MVP
No.
was won by Moxley. Japanese MVP was won by Okada, slightly over Osprey. Mexico MVP was El Hijo del Vikingo in a runaway.
Again,
Europe MVP in a runaway was Osprey. Best box office draw: 1 Roman Reigns, 2 John Cena, and 3
for doing
CM.
what?
Well, again, box office draw doesn't have to do again with about like how often you're on the show and everything. It has to do about do you draw in like eyeballs and everything. And I have a feeling a lot of people voted for
I
Cena
get it.
just
yeah.
because of how that episode of SmackDown at the end of the year, how many people tuned
Yeah.
into it just because he was on it.
Yes.
And Punk obviously was probably on there because he was headlining the pay-per-view that brought him $1 million gate and all that. But yeah, Roman being on there is obviously,
Got it.
self-explanatory. Most charismatic, I'm just going to run through these real quick now. MJF 1, followed by Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and this Julia person. Worst TV announcer was a tight 3-way race, but Corey Graves won, edging out Booker T and Jim Ross.
Yeah, baby.
Michael Cole and Kevin Patrick were 4 and 5. Best wrestling maneuver, and this is the last one now. Will Ospreay.
Thank God damn.
Yeah, I know. There's Will Ospreay's Hidden Blade won, followed by Adam Page's Buckshot Lariat. I could have been a dick there and said Logan Paul's Buckshot Lariat. Number 3 was Kenny Omega's One Winged Angel. Number 4,
The Orange Crush.
Darby Allin's Coffin Drop.
That should have been the number 1 on the worst finishers.
As somebody else in the comments for this one even said, falling backwards is a maneuver.
Awesome.
And number 5, Wardlow's Powerbomb Symphony.
Darby Allin's one should have been like the runaway winner of worst finishers. Like that.
Well, that was best maneuver. They don't.
That was
I don't
Oh,
think
best
it was-
maneuver. They said best maneuver.
That should have been. That should have been.
Yeah, I don't think they do. Sorry, I don't think they do a worst maneuver.
Oh, they should. Because that should be
Oh,
on the
man.
worst, not the bests. How did
Yeah.
they got votes for best? Who the hell watches wrestling and goes, sweet, that is a great move?
Yeah, so some past winners of best wrestling maneuver were Jimmy Snuka's Superfly Splash, Scott Steiner's Frankensteiner, Two Cold Scorpios 450 Splash, Vader's Moonsault, Brock Lesnar's F5, AJ Styles Clash, Petey Williams Canadian Destroyer,
Valid.
Omega's One Winged Angel, Page's Buckshot Lariat won in 2021. The One Winged Angel won in 2016, 17, 18, and 20. And then, of course, there was the move that won in 2014 by the Young Bucks, which, wow, I'm shocked a move named the Meltzer Driver won Best Maneuver.
We love you, Uncle Dave.
What a queaky dink.
The Young Bucks also won once before for the More Bang for Your Buck maneuver, which it says is the Rolling Fireman's Carry Slam followed by a 450 Splash followed by a Moonsault, otherwise known as 3 maneuvers.
Pretty much. Okay.
Hey, as
Did
long
you,
as it's a tag team move, I don't care.
Everything else on there was a solo maneuver,
So
yeah,
just,
there There was one other tag team maneuver on here way back in the day. They gave the British Bulldogs best maneuver for the military press followed by missile drop kick combo that they used to do. But I think that was the only other time that they'd ever had like a, what I guess you could call a tag team maneuver. Yeah, it was.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Man.
So switch gears here a tad bit. We talked about this before. And AJ brought it up because I think AJ had talked to Pat about this. But the comparison between The Mandalorian and Andor, which show is the a better show overall? And I know AJ had talked to her other friend Pat about this, and they had a difference of opinion per se. So as I've been able to finish watching Andor finally, this is my take. An overall show from beginning to end, I think Andor is a better show. Very better storyline from beginning to end, from episode 1 till the end. I think Mandalorian had some sidetracking spots to kind of not really focus on Mando, but kind of focus a couple small foreshadowing things with Grogu per se, but the flow seemed a little bit off. And I think Mandalorian had more of the cool moments with Ahsoka finally being in the live action and fighting, seeing her fight, and then the whole Luke Skywalker showing up at the end of that, the season finale. Even with 2 seasons of Mando, I kind of think I would pick Andor as a better show from start to finish over Mandalorian.
Storytelling, I agree with the storytelling part of Andor, because it's definitely, I think, a better, like you said, beginning to end, like continuous story getting to one end result, where Mandalorian was more about the moments,
yes,
and the coolness of that show.
Yeah,
I mean,
that show is more about moments. You see somebody in, from Star Wars Rebels, or the bad guy, shows up, things of that nature. The Chewbacca guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Him being introduced in live action. It had a lot of cool moments, and it is kind of hard too, because there are 2 different types of shows.
Yeah.
Where Andor is really drama storyline driven with some cool factors here and there with certain stuff, but it kind of gives you a description of other things too and what was going on in that time frame in the galaxy, where Mando is just like cool action, some good storytelling from time to time, cool wow factor moments, cool battles, things of that nature. So and good backstory telling as far as the Mandalorian for Mando and himself and a couple of those. Oh wait, that was the Boba Fett show. See, that's where they kind of
don't mix up Boba Fett with Mandalorian. That'd be close.
And if that's not to the way the
I mean, because the Book of Boba Fett, what, 3rd episode in, 4th episode in, they start bringing him back into it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, whose show is this?
Yeah, the second half of the Book of Boba Fett was the Mandalorian season 2.5.
Yeah.
It just was.
So, I mean,
yeah, I didn't understand why they did that. They did an entire episode that had nothing to do with Boba Fett. An entire episode.
He didn't even appear in, like, what was it? I think there were 7 episodes. He didn't appear in the 5th episode at all, and I think he only appeared in the 6th episode for like a minute at the end.
Yeah.
The title character of the show. So yeah.
So that was very odd. But that's a different topic for another story, for the show. But yeah, because I know there was some conversation about the different shows. I'm like, I need to finish watching this. So I mean, that's
I'm usually the slacker.
I know, right? That's where I stand in regards to it. 2 different types of shows, but overall, like
both entertaining.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
I think both shows were really good. I mean, like really, really good. Like among best shows that have been on TV the last couple of years. Now, whether or not they get recognition for that, of course, is another story, because genre shows are always difficult to get recognition for, like, awards and shit like that. But they're two very different shows in that Mandalorian's kind of all age accessible. Andor is not. Andor
it's
is
not.
really an adult show when you come right down to it. Like,
Adult drama driven.
my 6-year-old twin niece and nephew and 4-year-old nephew, if I tried to make them watch Andor, they'd probably be bored out of their minds.
Oh yeah.
I'm not even sure if my 11.5-year-old niece would really be able to fully understand and appreciate Andor just yet. So, it's like, so it's not really a show for kids. And everybody on Andor really takes it seriously. And like, in terms of like the actors, like, you can't really tell where anybody's like really like phoning it in and everything. And again, like I mentioned when we talked about it before, it shows a slice of the Star Wars universe that you've really never seen before.
Yeah.
You've never seen the people who aren't Jedis or freedom fighters or Imperials. Just like the average people who have to go slogging through their day every day, while there is this totalitarian regime that's weighing down upon them and everything.
Right. Well, you really get a look into Moth Mama in her character and what she's trying to do from an inside point of view, which I thought was really cool.
Right. While also not being detected for what she's doing, because obviously if she gets detected, she'll be dead in a second, and dealing with family drama because her husband seems to be an asshole and her daughter seems to be ungrateful and spoiled, and so so there's that aspect of it. Yeah. So I mean, it works really well, and those
Real
instances,
family issues too. They added that in there.
It is also very interesting to see like the villain point of view, where you're seeing like this, what the Imperial bureaucracy is, like these like security forces and everything. And it's kind of cool how you see the one guy there, like the older guy with the mustache, like the white hair and the white mustache in the Imperials. That's supposed to be the one admiral from Clone Wars who was like always there with like Obi-Wan and Anakin. That's supposed to be that character. They never really explicitly stated it that I can remember, but that's what it is. He's supposed to be that guy who you also see a guy with a white hair and mustache like that as one of the guys sitting around the table in the Death Star in Episode 4. Spoiler alert, he blows up with the Death Star. But it's just kind of interesting in that
he doesn't make it.
It's cool though when you see ties to like the other series and the other properties. And obviously Andor also had that when they brought Forrest Whitaker back, as
Now I'm drinking on a blank too.
the character who he played in Rogue One, who then also appeared in Rebels. Jesus, how am I forgetting a freaking name?
See, Jeremy's rubbing off on us, Pat. This is some bullshit.
I don't remember names in shows like that.
Well, goddamn, son, he's rubbing off on us, making us forget shit. I got one thing to say to him. Let me look it up real quick, because if I don't say it on this program, it's just going to drive me nuts for the rest of the night.
Yeah, go ahead.
Saw Gerrera. There we go.
Gerrera. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it's a little unfair to compare them, because when you really come right down to it, just they're so different, and they're really kind of almost for different audiences in a lot of ways. And like I said, I really feel like everybody on Andor is taking it seriously, and that the acting is pretty uniformly superb. Whereas on The Mandalorian, you got to deal with Gina Carano being stiffer than a plank of cedar. So thank God we won't have to see her again. But yeah, but again, I'm very much. Hey, I liked the character. I didn't always like the way she played it, and in real life, she's an idiot. So, but obviously,
personal feelings aside.
Yes, I know. I put personal feelings aside for no one.
Yes, we know.
Obviously, Mandalorian comes back on Wednesday. I'm very much looking forward to it. The trailers look, very enticing.
I'm interested to see where they go with adding more Mandalorian characters into this, and if they're going to try and take back Mandalore.
Yeah, because that's what it seems like is where they're going with it, is like,
because they got to bring Boba Fett back for that, because Boba Fett does in the books. Now, granted, these are the books, and these are not canon.
The books aren't canon anymore. So
he helps save Mandalore and takes back Mandalore.
Yeah. I mean, he could very easily show up again at some point, though. At the same time, you think like, well, he's running his business for every one criminal syndicate on Tatooine now, so who knows? But I mean, yeah, and obviously there's going to be a shit ton of tension regarding the Darksaber between, our good buddy, Din Djarin and our old friend
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm very interested.
Yeah, I wonder if we're
where
going to
they
see
would go.
what's her face in it?
Sasha?
Sasha. Yeah, I wonder if she'll be
She's not.
reprising her role.
She's not.
It sounds like she's
Oh.
not, but
Sad.
Yeah, she made a
some
comment
people-
about that.
Some people are convinced that she actually will be in it. I mean, I'm just going to say I won't believe that she's in it until I actually see her in it. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
believe the internet reports. I don't know when exactly she would have been free to have filmed anything for it when they were filming for it. So, like, I
Well,
don't
she had
think
a lot
she-
of time off at WWE.
I don't think that happened before,
Yeah.
like, they were filming.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. It's filming and post production and this production and that production takes forever. So
Well, the Star Wars series, especially post production, takes a long time. So,
Yeah.
so the Star Wars stuff is typically filmed about a year before it's actually released. So, yeah. So it's hard to say. I mean, if her character came back, that'd be fine with me because yeah. But like I said, we'll see. It's kind of cool right now. We're gonna have The Mandalorian on Wednesdays, and the third and final season of Star Trek Picard is running on Thursdays right now. So it's kind of fun to have both of those
Yeah.
going to be running simultaneously.
so it'll
Still
be
catching up on
interesting
season
because
2.
it's interesting because if I'm thinking of the right person, the person that plays Mandalorian is also in the show Last of Us.
Yes, Pedro Pascal. Yep,
Yes.
he's
So
the star of both shows.
so they evidently film at different times.
Obviously,
So it's going to be interesting how long they're going to be able to keep that up with him, and how long if The Last of Us continues more than one season, which I think it's supposed to.
I'm pretty sure. I think I'm also guessing it's already been renewed for another season.
I don't remember
Yeah,
hearing if it was
The
or not.
Last of Us has already been renewed for a second season.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you
I
got to think
remember
about it.
I
He's
watched
under a
the-
mask, so no one's going to see his face. So if he's all good.
You just got to do the voiceover. It's okay. And anybody
Yeah.
else can walk around in the suit.
I know, technically speaking, yeah.
Yeah, this is
Um,
interesting. It says the Mandalorian producers had to give Pascal permission to work on The Last of Us, for which he is reportedly earning $600,000 per episode, making him one of the highest paid American TV stars. Look at that. You get
So he's
one
making
huge,
600K on The Last of Us.
yeah, you get one huge breakout role, and
Wow.
look at that, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
they
start
probably liked
making
They probably liked what he did on, the Wonder Woman movie too. So
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's had a steady rise. He's one of many people. If you go back and you watch episodes from the original run of Law and Order, he shows up in one from like the second half of that run. So between 2000 and 2010, when the show went off the air, like Chadwick Boseman showed up in an episode too. Like all kinds of people have always been on episodes of Law and Order at some point in the past. So
Yeah.
Well, he's one of those actors that got his break very late.
yeah, a little bit. I mean,
He's not
He,
super old, but he's definitely older.
he's 47. Yeah.
He's older than
But
me.
he doesn't look that. He doesn't. I would say he doesn't look that old. So,
no, he doesn't.
No.
but yeah, and of course, he was in Game of Thrones, though his role was kind of small in that. And then he was on Narcos, and then he did several movies. He was in The Adjustment Bureau, The Great Wall, Kingsman: The Golden Circle, The Equalizer 2, Triple Frontier, Wonder Woman 84, and of
He was
course,
good in The Kingsman.
And then, of course, he was in, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. So, which was him and Nick Cage were a pretty funny duo in that movie. So, especially the scene where they thought they were high on drugs and were trying to escape from people.
Oh yeah, that movie. I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, the one where Nick Cage was playing himself.
Yeah, and the other guy. Yeah.
So yeah, he's had a slow, steady rise, and yeah, now he's the jiu-jitsu goes to show sometimes all it takes is a you get that one, hit project and everything. And it's also kind of ironic that The Mandalorian was that for him. And yeah, I mean, most of The Mandalorian, you never see his goddamn face.
No.
Most actors would be like, wait a minute, so you're not going to see my face? Yeah, I'm not taking that role. So
It worked out for him though.
Mhm.
right, that just was it.
It did.
It absolutely did. But I wouldn't be surprised if there had been, I'm not saying there were, I obviously don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if like they ever like wrote a story about like say the making of the show someday, and somebody said, oh yeah, we talked to such and such, but he didn't want to be in the role where you're going to get to show his face,
I wouldn't be surprised. I
Because
guarantee you that's probably happens.
Yeah, but that's because that's acting. Because when you're not showing your face, you can't necessarily show how much you're acting, because you can't see any facial expressions or anything like that. So, so it's difficult to do it just all through like physicality and voice.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's
It is way. It is the way.
and it is the way.
This is
I'm
the
Ron.
way.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Oh shit.
So let me also just say this really quickly.
Okay. You got a lot to say tonight.
Yeah, I know. So I felt like it was time. I felt like it was time for a Dark Pat episode.
Oh, well, okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's Oscar season. The Academy Awards are in, I believe, 2 weeks. So I'm trying to see as many of the Oscar nominees as I possibly can. So I've seen more than half of them at this point. I still have to see a few like Top Gun and Avatar and a couple of the other acting nominees. Like
Don't watch Avatar. Don't penalize yourself.
I'm not going to go see it in the theater. So it's going to wait until it comes onto a streaming or, for rental or anything. And even then, I'm probably not going to prioritize it much because I doubt it's going to win, for at least for,
so.
not for best picture anyway. It'll probably win for like visual effects and some other technical categories, but But anyway, so 2 movies I've watched recently that did receive Oscar nominations. First of all, there was the Elvis movie.
I've heard not to watch that.
Austin Butler is very good as Elvis, and I'll say again, without having seen like people who weren't nominated either, I don't have a problem with him being nominated for Best Actor. The movie being nominated for Best Picture, ugh. Baz Luhrmann directed it. Baz Luhrmann's a guy who directed Moulin Rouge and The Great Gatsby and a couple other films that have a very distinct visual style that I find tiresome. And it's using a wrestling term, all sizzle, no steak. It may look good, but there's nothing there, kind of. It's very long. It's like 2 hours and 45 minutes long. It doesn't really tell you a lot, frankly, about who Elvis is because it's being narrated by Colonel Tom Parker, who's played by Tom Hanks. I don't think I've ever seen a Tom Hanks role where I would say, God damn, Tom Hanks was fucking annoying in that role. But this one he was.
Yeah, based on the character, it was a little.
The story is being told through Colonel Tom's eyes, really. Like, the movie should have really been called Colonel Tom featuring Elvis.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and again, it really doesn't give you a lot of insight as to who Elvis was, what kind of struggles he went through. I mean, they show like the drug addictions, later in his life, and the fact that like Colonel Tom had this doctor feeding him pills and everything, but they don't really get into like the underlying reasons for it. There's scenes that are repetitive, like when he starts doing like his Vegas stage show. So it just doesn't work as a film. So the fact it got nominated for Best Picture was kind of ludicrous. It was also nominated for some technical categories, which I think for the most part I said, yeah, okay, fine. One of the ones that was nominated though for was Best Editing. Best Editing does not mean most editing. Because again, Baz Luhrmann films are cut in such a way where it's like, a lot of quick cuts and like multiple images on the screen at the same time kind of shit. Again, that shit gets tiresome fast. So I would say you may want to watch it because, again, like I said, it's a good lead performance and everything, but it's a bit of a slog to actually sit through the entire running time. And on those same respects, I watched Blonde. which is the movie that's on Netflix that's about Marilyn Monroe, which stars Ana de Armas from the most recent Bond movie and Knives Out.
I haven't got a chance to watch that yet.
Yeah. Again, great lead performance, really bad film. Again, it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes long. It's rated NC-17. And
Damn.
it's based on like like a book by an author.
boobies. Okay.
Yes, very much. I shouldn't be
Hmm.
surprised if she's shown her boobs in most things she's done, I think.
I know she has.
Like I mentioned the Bond movie and Knives Out, and I'm like, those may be the only two things where she hasn't shown her boobs.
Probably.
Like she showed her boobs in Blade Runner, so but anyway. The whole point of the movie is like she has daddy issues because she never knew her father. She has mommy issues because her mother went crazy and she ended up having to go to an orphanage and shit. And then she was exploited by everybody in the movie industry. Like they show her getting raped. They show her getting
Ooh.
they show her being forced to fillet the president. And then basically raped by him. And of course, they don't name him, but obviously we all know it's JFK. And so it's like, it's one thing to say she was exploited. It's another thing to cross a line of good taste when showing that. And I feel that
Yeah.
they did. There's weird scenes of her like talking to her unborn children that she supposedly aborted, which I read like there's no actual evidence that she ever actually had an abortion.
Even still,
Interesting.
that's like freaking creepy as hell.
Yeah, it is, and
Yeah, that's a
especially
bit
when they
much.
kind of sort of depict the way that they performed abortions back in the 50s. Not pleasant. They don't name him, but of course we all know she was married to Joe DiMaggio, and they show scenes where he beats her. So it's uncomfortable to watch at times, and not in like I needed to see this to know just what she had to go through. It's uncomfortable in a, oh my God, I don't want to watch this kind of way.
Yeah.
So
That's not good.
it's just it's really tough to sit through. And it's also very disappointing because the guy who directed the movie, Andrew Dominic, he's made several films which I've liked, including one which is one of my favorite movies of the last 20 years or so, which was The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford, which starred Brad Pitt and Casey Affleck, which I thought was a very good movie. And while it was
So I'm here.
that was like a longer movie too, that was like 2.5 hours, but that didn't feel like 2.5 hours. This movie, like I said, was about 2 hours, 45 minutes or so, felt like 4 hours, So that's kind of how you can always tell, no matter what the length of the movie is, if the movie is good or not. Did it, take its running time? Did it feel like it took that long? If the answer is no, then it was probably a good movie. If the answer is yes, or well, it even felt longer than that, then it's probably not a good movie. So,
So I'll give you a documentary that you should watch.
What's that?
It was I gotta get the title because I don't remember the title, but I'll tell you what it was about, and I'll get you the title in the meantime. So it was about Dr. Nasser, sorry, from the U.S. Olympic Committee.
The Michigan State guy.
Yes, the Michigan
Yes.
State guy. They did a documentary on the lead up to what happened, not what happened, but how they finally convicted him of that, and what happened and some of the things that happened to the U.S. Olympic
Gymnast.
gymnast and that organization. That was the people that were running the organization, like the president and like the one lady that ran this ranch out in Texas where a lot of these things happened.
Yes.
So I would definitely suggest watching that. And why the hell can't I think of the name of it? I just watched it yesterday.
Is this on Netflix?
Yes, this is on Netflix.
Okay, Athlete A.
Yes, Athlete A, because that's how Maggie, I can't even remember her name, was listed in the report. She was listed as Athlete A until she wasn't there for the deposition when they convicted him, and like all the people came up and like gave their said their words, before they gave him his sentence, her mother went up and read the letter that she had wrote because she was at Oklahoma University and she didn't want to leave there because she had, she's an athlete there. She's on the gymnastics team there. So,
Okay.
so that was the first.
Maggie Nichols is the
Yes.
name of the.
Yes, Maggie Nichols. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's a gross thing that happened and it should have never happened. But to know the total number of athletes that he did that to was disgusting, like absolutely disgusting to see that number up there was just absolutely disgusting. Joe's in a movie.
Yeah,
what happened?
yeah, that's yeah, it's not fun to watch this stuff, but it's like, yeah, I'm sure that's something that a lot of people should watch just so they know the full extent, because there's still so many people who, and obviously there's going to be false accusations, but they always seem like that they're the exception, not the norm. And I think
Yes.
there's still way
Yes.
too many people who just automatically disbelieve accusations when they get made because they get made against, oh, I like that person. Or, why are you going after this person? They're rich, you're not, that kind of
Yeah.
shit.
Well,
And
the
of course,
crazy thing.
I would say, yeah, do you know how much risk there is for somebody who's not rich to go after somebody who's rich? Rich people
Very,
get
very much.
everything in this country.
The crazy thing about it is when they first, when the first documentary first starts, they tell you about like their policy on, not accusations, but things brought like, with sexual misconduct, like their policy was if it's not the athlete complaining or a parent of the athlete, it gets filed away as not important, essentially. I'm like, well, that's pretty effed up. Like,
Really?
how do isn't that something
How do you
that's supposed to be
justify
reported
that
to
one?
like, isn't that supposed to be reported to the police like immediately, or at least do an internal investigation? Like,
Should be internal
something?
and yeah.
But yeah, that was
Wow.
that was their policy. Unless the athlete complained or the parent of the athlete complained, there was nothing done. Like, wow, fantastic.
That's some moral inaccuracies with that. Bad
Yeah.
moral judgment with those fucking policies.
Yeah.
Not protecting anybody.
Oh, and the crazy thing is, the other thing that comes out about this, that while you're watching this documentary, is like, not only was there, that type of abuse going on by the doctor that was, treating these athletes, there was all kinds of other abuse going on by the people that were training them to be Olympians.
Yeah, the Crowleys, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just terrible. I'm like, damn, like,
Yeah,
I know Olympic athletes go through a lot to train and get ready for, their said sport. But the way that these people did it was just, in my opinion, just terrible. Like, just the way they treated these kids.
Yeah,
And these were kids. Like, they're fucking kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they are.
The Crowleys had a reputation because they trained so many champion gymnasts. But yeah, like I remember people questioning their methods like years before, and then one of the things that I just like kind of clicked on, I was just clicking around some of the Wikipedia pages that are related to this, is that, yeah, they felt like that some of the sexual abuse happened at their big ranch that they have, where they do the training, like you said, and that like Nasser was grooming them because he would like give them food that the dietary guidelines set out by the Crowleys prohibited. And it's like, yeah, that's a way for an adult to gain trust of a minor, of a child, someone under 18, whatever you want to call it. So, you can definitely see that. And even though it's like nobody accused the Crowleys of committing any acts of sexual abuse or anything like that, just the fact that I guess it was happening and that they either weren't aware of it or at best didn't do anything to stop it, it said that like USA Gymnastics was originally going to like had like a working partnership with them, which they ended completely, which also had said at one point included plans for them to actually buy out the ranch to I guess make it like a permanent training facility for USA Gymnastics. But yeah,
They
USA
nixed that.
they thought better of it, if you were, after all the Nasser shit really kind of fully hit the shit, and he was convicted and everything, which
Well,
obviously,
yeah, and the president of USA Gymnastics was convicted also then eventually.
yeah. So it is some shit, he's probably, because of how many people he did it to and everything. I always want to put this like disclaimer. Probably one of the worst people ever in the history of the world, non-killing other people division.
I would
Yeah.
say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not non engaged in genocide division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Absolutely.
but that's a good one to go watch. So you gave us some stuff that you probably don't want to watch. I gave you something that I think you should watch. If you're interested in knowing more about sports and some of the behind the scenes crazy shit that happens to people, it's got it.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I'll definitely check
It's worth
that out.
it's worth watching. I got to watch the Bill Russell one. Yeah.
Netflix had produced another documentary film a few years ago, which I think ended up winning the Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature. That was about the Russian doping scandals.
Yeah, I watched that
It's
one.
on my list to watch.
Yeah, it's called Icarus. I can tell you that was very good, because it's interesting too, because the film started off as the guy was trying to find out, what is doping, how does it work, how do you get away with it, and he gets referred to this Russian guy who kind of basically tells him and everything, and then this guy chooses to spill the guts to him about what the Russians have been doing for years,
That's
and
insane.
yeah, so it becomes this whole other thing then and everything, and he becomes obviously a target because you can't cross Vladimir Putin, so
No, of course not.
yeah, so that's another good one too. If you want to watch a kind of contemporary sports documentary about a
Yeah, that one
controversial.
was good.
subject.
Yeah, that one was good too, and that's why there is no Russian team. There's the
Yeah.
what were they called this time around in the Olympics? I forget what their name was. I forget because they didn't have
It
an
was something
actual
crazy.
team Russia. It was like the Russian National Olympic Team or something like that.
Yeah. The thing too, we're bringing up talking about documentaries. Like documentaries is something I've been I don't want to say rapid. I've really been getting into a lot of documentaries the past 4 years. I just looking for all the streaming services that I'm on. I just keep hearing about documentaries, checking them out, finding other ones and checking them out. There's been so many good ones I've come across. There's this guy that's in the news right now. I don't know if he's being showcased up there, but it's a rich family from South Carolina, the Murdochs.
Oh, the Murdoch murders.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a documentary on that too. That just came out on Netflix.
So the crazy part is
you mean Murdaugh, right? Isn't it Murdaugh? Murdauh? Daugh? I think.
Something like Murdochs, whatever. They were.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess it could possibly be pronounced Murdoch. I didn't think it was. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No. So it was funny because we had watched that. She started watching it when I came home from work one day. So we watched all the whole. I think there's 3 episodes for that or something like that. But anywho, we watched the whole documentary, and the trial had been delayed, I think, a couple times. So now the whole news down here is every day it's, there's a new update on the trial because he's going through his trial right now for the murder of his wife and son. And, it's kind of it's weird because you hear some stuff on the news about, his confessions and his comments he made to the police and to other people. And, some of it's starting to come out. So it's kind of did he do it? Didn't he do it? Did he have help? So it's kind of I feel like I'm reliving the documentary all over again, but it's been actually pretty interesting. It's a good documentary to watch too, because the son that got killed does some pretty shitty stuff. to his friends. And that family name is you get to see how shitty that family has been to the community, where it's one of those things where the community does all this good stuff, but in the background, they do a lot of shitty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of one of those things.
Well,
So
yeah, just in the
it's-
preview I saw, they're like, yeah, they had a landing strip for planes, and they're like, what would you bring? He's like, anything you want. I'm like, whoa, those are some people that have way too much power.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch the documentary, especially the first one, like it tells you about the family background and like his father, his father and his grandfather, and how they built things up and they like made their own rules for certain shit and how they got away with stuff. Yeah, it's one of those things where if you were a friend of the family, they're a family that if you're a friend of the family, they have your back, in so to speak. You know what I mean? They'll help you out. But as soon as you turn your back on the family, they'll do whatever they want to bury you. And literally, not figuratively speaking, and literally speaking, they will find a way to try to
Crazy.
bury you. It's one of those type of things. It's insane. But
Nuts. All
yeah,
right.
documentaries are so interesting. They're so good to watch.
No, they are.
So yeah, because of the doping scandals, back in the 2018 Winter Olympics, they were referred to as Olympic athletes from Russia.
Yeah, that's it.
And basically what it meant is that they couldn't march under their flag or have their
Yes.
anthem played. The last two Olympics, the 2020 held in 2021 Summer Olympics and the 2022 Winter Olympics, they were called the ROC, or Russian Olympic Committee.
Yeah. Because they
So
still, and they didn't fly the flag of Russia either those years either, I don't think.
Right. All three of those events, they were not allowed to
Yeah.
fly the Russian national flag or play the Russian national anthem. So whether
Yeah,
or not
own
that's still in
special
effect for next year's Summer Olympics in Paris, I don't know.
I'm going to say it probably will be.
Yeah, I'm
From
just
whatever I think it is.
yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not seeing anything here that's specifying.
I think it's what I find interesting about the whole doping scandal is the fact that the Olympic Committee, whoever that is comprised of,
Bunch of jabronis.
that
Yes.
they test all the athletes. They test them before and they test them after.
Mhm.
So it's interesting to me knowing that these kids, the Russian athletes were doping, and I'm sure there's other athletes from other countries that dope too.
Of course.
Oh, there definitely is. Yeah.
The fact that they were overlooking the results of those tests, because I'm sure they didn't come back clean. Yeah. There's
Well,
probably,
I mean,
probably
here's
a lot
the
of
thing.
paper going on with that.
They were like,
Here's the thing about
speed down
about-
that shit.
Yeah, here's the thing about that too, and I've said this many times. Every international sports organization, whether it's the International Olympic Committee or FIFA or
Ugh, they're
FIBA,
horrible.
they're all corrupt out the ass.
Oh yeah.
And it's pretty obvious. And it's like it's the kind of a thing it's the kind of a thing where Lewis Black once did a joke about people who were doing something bad and then deny they were doing something bad by likening it to just like taking a shit in front of you, and then when you say you just took a shit, they go, that's fertilizer.
I mean, just look at this last, World Cup. There was Qatar had no business, zero business winning that bid.
Yeah, everybody
And-
knew from the moment they announced it that they paid it off, that they
Yeah.
bought it off. Yeah,
It,
Everybody.
because it was expected that the U.S. was going to get it,
right.
and then Qatar gets named, and you see the faces on the U.S. people that were there. They were like, you want to talk about getting stabbed in the heart. The looks on their faces like they got stabbed in the heart
Yeah,
multiple times.
and they literally
Like
had to build,
that was such bullshit.
they literally had to build cities in order to build some of the stadiums
Yep.
And it's like, what's going to happen to those things now? Because, and this is another reason why a lot of countries don't bid on the Olympics anymore.
That's what
They
happened
build
in
these-
Rio. Like that whole
they-
area where Rio was.
Yeah,
Like-
they spend millions of dollars on building these facilities, and then they become ghost towns. Like one of my favorite ones, I think, is that like a baseball stadium that they built for the Athens Olympics back in 2000. Now it looks like an honest to God Greek ruin.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't been used, and so it's completely just
They never
overgrown.
maintained it. It's not being
Yeah,
used. They just let it go.
It's not maintained. It's overgrown. Where nature is basically overtaking it and everything. So that's why, that's why, you're not seeing a lot of countries even bother to bid for Olympic Games, and it's why they've awarded some of them so far out. Like they've already announced that the 2024 Summer Games are in Paris, and the 2028 are in LA. Then the 2032 Summer Olympics, they usually announce it 7 years before, but they've already announced that the 2032 Summer Olympics are going to be in Brisbane, Australia. So I mean, France, US, Australia, pretty well developed countries that already have a lot of good infrastructure. The 2026 Winter Games are in Milan and Cortina, Italy. So again, Italy has a lot of stuff already there. Like the 2030 Winter Olympics, they haven't awarded those yet. I guess they should be scheduled to be awarded this year.
I think so, yeah.
I think Salt Lake City's trying to bid again. And of course, Salt Lake City held the Winter Olympics, I want to say back in 2002. It's unclear who else is bidding, but it's like, there's just, a lot of countries are kind of gotten wise to, like, unless they already have this stuff in place, they're not going to invest millions of dollars of money in it for shit that's going to become obsolete, unused and ruined within a couple of years that they're never going to get any other kind of economic benefit from.
Yeah, and
That
it's
makes sense.
wasting money.
You want to bankrupt the country for the fucking Olympics? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, look, Greece. I mean, Greece has gone through economic hardship, since then.
yeah,
you
better part of the last 2 decades.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to blame everything on the Olympics, but it's a good amount of it. You waste all that money. Plus, Qatar was, in trouble for how they built those cities. The labor, they were like pulling people from other countries and taking their passports from them and all that shit. And they had to mandatory work like X amount of days and months or whatever the case may be, before they were allowed to leave. So it was like, yeah, they got paid this X amount of dollars, but the way they were treated, like worse than fucking prisoners.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So it's pretty bad.
The biggest thing for Russia at the Olympics next year is the war, because there have been some countries that have threatened to boycott if Russia and Belarus are allowed to participate. Let's see here. Poland has said up to 40 countries would consider boycotting if Russians and Belarusians are not excluded. Countries which have threatened to boycott are Denmark, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and obviously Ukraine. Other countries that could boycott are the United Kingdom, Japan, New Zealand, and South Korea. On the other hand, though, the U.S. said welcomed the return of Russian and Belarusian athletes, but only under a neutral designation. And the Czech Republic and Greece have said they would not boycott. This whole neutral thing was announced last month. The IOC announced plans to introduce Russian and Belarusian athletes as neutrals. I'm trying to see exactly what that means here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I guess basically, as long as they don't take some kind of public stance about the war, here it is. The IOC has published a statement stating that it supported the return of Russian and Belarusian athletes as long as they did not actively support the war, and as long as their flag, anthem, colors, and organizations were excluded, thus preventing them from competing under the Russian Olympic Committee, as in Tokyo 2020 and Beijing 2022. Okay. So they still may not, even if they're allowed in, they still may not be able to compete as Russia, but for a different reason this time.
Yeah.
For the fact that their country's leader is a madman who is trying to invade another country and start World War III. So
it stinks because you look at the athletes, and the athletes don't have anything to do with what's going on. It's not their fault.
No,
and they're going to be punished.
I agree with that, and it's like, it's also like in the same way, that I don't really blame the athletes who were doping, because in a lot of ways they probably didn't do it willingly. You know,
I think a majority of them probably did not do it willingly.
yeah. So they're the pawns.
And it's unfortunate. I mean, should there be some action taken, from the Olympic Committee against those countries that are causing what they're doing? Of course, but it's things that it's got to affect the athletes that want nothing to do with. I shouldn't say want nothing to do with it, but want no part of it. They just want to be able to do what they do and at a very high level. So,
Yeah,
what it'll be, what it be, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's happened before, of course. The United States boycotted the 1980 Summer Olympics because they were in Moscow, and it was because of what Russia was doing. Well, it was still the Soviet Union, was doing in Afghanistan and everything around that time. So, yeah, this is the shit that happens. It's kind of sad that we've gone back to this point where it's like, we're threatening, Olympic boycotts because of another country deciding, hey, nice country you have, we'll take it.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's not even necessary.
No, it's not.
We need more land.
You get a shit ton of land.
It's not even that they need more land or anything like that. It's just that Putin's a madman. So
He just wants to rule over others.
All right. Well, I think we've had quite an episode.
Oh, I
so
think
the
it
next
is.
thing I want to talk about.
No.
Well, you're going on mute,
No.
motherfucker, now.
So, well, we do. If you turned in, we appreciate it and thank you for watching. And we're gonna cut it. We're gonna cut it short. We're not gonna go a crazy long ending. We're just gonna say, well, we hope you finish with us because it was a good night and good.